And welcome in to week 3 of the Albion Giants Smite League. We're going to be watching the set Console Kids versus Draven. We're going to have Console Kids on the left side of the UI and Raven on the right side of the UI when we do inevitably get into picks and bans in just a couple of minutes here. I am joined by Day, senior comp player, good amount of experience. How are you doing today, Day?
I'm feeling pretty good. Just hyped to watch this match. Really excited.
I am as well. Keep in mind, these two teams, Console Kids and Raven, neither of them have received any wins so far. So somebody is going to be receiving their first points today, and I'm expecting it's sort of an all-out brawl once we jump into these games. These teams could potentially be very evenly matched, and I'm really looking forward to watching that. We are going to jump into picks and bans. Right here, what are some of the top picks in your opinion right now, Dave? What do you expect to see banned out?
Well, looking at the bans, we see a lot of aggression from both sides, like just cut out immediately. Uller and Kama banned out immediately shows me that they don't want a lot of skirmishes going on in either the left or right lane. For the other side, for the Ravens, they banned out the Yamoja and Thor. No global presence, no large teamfight presence. They don't want those coming in. And finally, to round out the bans, they ban out an Aphrodite. On the side of the Console Kids, don't want that healing. And on the side of the Ravens, they don't want to deal with that massive objective damage that the Merlin brings. So it makes a lot of sense overall. These are a lot of meta picks.
Agreed. These are pretty typical bans. I'm a little bit surprised to see Aphrodite, but I think at this level she is prioritized more than the average, especially up at the top level, not seeing a ton of her. We do see Bacchus first pick, which is definitely a little bit interesting to me. He's not one of the top picks, I think. When I think of top picks, he's definitely not something that comes to my mind. We've seen a little bit of him, towards the top level on aggressive supports that, like playing that way, but he's not a first pick god that I would ever expect to see in that role.
I mean, he's not a first pick god, but he does bring a lot of aggression on the table, and when you ban out the Yamoja, you're pretty safe to pick him, not to mention the Uller, so there's really no CC, and he just brings a shit ton of kill power in the lane, so not very surprising. But a Raijin and Iza on the other side.
Raijin and Iza do get picked up. Izanami has a ton of pressure in that duo lane trying to match the Bacchus's kill pressure towards the early game, and Raijin, one of the classic top mid laners that we've been seeing a ton of. There's still a good amount of mid laners open, to go against this Raijin. Discordia has been seeing a ton of play, as well as I think Nuwa has popped up just a little bit due to her buff a couple of patches ago, but I personally think she's being a little bit undervalued. So we'll see if we see that here. But we do see the Huyi come out, another highly valued hunter, and then we have an Amaterasu for what looks like is going to be the solo lane. Who do you think? And I think we have an Achilles here. Which 3v3 so far do you favor? Which 3 picks would you rather have?
I mean, the Console Kids have a sick team fight. You have the Amaterasu ultimate, not to mention her auras. The Bacchus does a massive amounts of damage with the blink and his ultimate, not to mention the Huyi slows from his sons. That's a lot of team fight right there that I feel like isn't matched very hard by the Ravens.
Could not agree more. A lot of AoE coming out from the Console Kids to start out, and I mean, there's not terrible AoE on the other side. Achilles has some, AoE abilities. Raijin does a ton of damage as a mage, but Izanami, much more known for those basic attack fights, which, typical hunter things. Huyi is actually kind of an outlier in the general hunter role with that giant ult of his. But as we're moving into the second phase, we do see these bans here. More supports coming out from Console Kids, which they don't get to ban away. The Athena that gets picked. And then we have Hunbats and Discordia banned away from the Console Kids, which I think are 2 really top bans.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I mean, look at the CC they already drafted in their first 3. You don't want to give Console Kids the Hunbats to get more CC in the jungle. You don't want to give them the Discordia to get more CC in the mid. By banning those out, they remove that CC aspect, but a good response with the Thanatos. I really like this because it brings a lot of pressure in the early game, something that they kind of lacked in the draft beforehand.
I do agree. A lot of pressure to hopefully match that dual lane pressure we might be seeing out of Izanami. We might see Thanatos hover around that left lane of that ADC lane of the map, and we do see Ra get picked here as well. Not a super popular mid laner, but definitely has been seen a little bit specifically by people who absolutely love to play the Ra. You know, the Ra mains are out there. They're still picking Ra right now, and they have a lot to, you know, go with this Ra. The only thing is, I'm not super worried about he's going to get dived because, you know, that there seems like a dive comp, but I'm worried that they don't have enough setup for him. There's not a ton of hard CC that's going to be able to set up this Ra consistently.
I mean, I guess that's true, but when Raijin's in the Taiko drums, he doesn't have that much movement speed, so you can kind of snipe him out there. Not to mention a Bacchus flop is probably enough CC to get your ultimate across, and I think most of the time, good Raw players freehand their ult before the fight even starts, so...
I think you might have a good point on there. We do see Susano last picked by Raven. Give me your final thoughts on which draft is going to take this game.
I think Console Kids just has a better team fight, so I think they take it.
I think I got to agree with that one. We are going to hop into a short break here before we throw it over to the casters and bring you game number 1, Console Kids versus Raven.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in game for the start of Game 1 of Console Kids versus Raven. I'm Supersonic Blur. I'll be your chair 1 for this evening. And joining me as my chair 2, my cohort, my compadre, is TIH Vengeance.
What's going on, everybody? Blur.
It's good to see you again. Well, I say see you. Good to hear you again.
It's,
yeah.
You know, we're back for another set to cast this week, and these comps are a little interesting for me.
You were talking a little bit on our downtime. You had a slight concern over Console Kids draft here. Go ahead and elaborate on that while we've got the time.
Console Kids draft is one, you picked Raw into an Athena. This is Athena support. She has the availability to rotate before you hit level 5, taunt you, and against a Raijin, you're not safe.
You die.
You're likely to die, especially if he's farming ahead of you. The other thing is, you're Thanatos, and this has been like a key thing here very recently in the games we've been casting. Your Thanatos is an early game god. What's one of the things I've seen every time I've seen an early game god? They don't play the aggressiveness early, and that throws the game away for your team. So now, if your team takes it, and speaking of why we don't play Raw against certain gods like Raijin, as
I'll clear now.
Almost killed 1 minute into the game. I mean, this is heavily relying on your lanes not to fall behind at all.
Ooh, very low they are getting, and the same is happening in the duo lane as well. I say Hua getting a very nice 2-man stun. They weren't able to quite capitalize on it. Shell will be used. Actually see how well Ligma Dude, fantastic name by the way, was able to go on aggressive. Usually hunters get the dash level 2. They went for the 1, the increased attack speed and overall stim on the hunter. That is a lot of pressure that they feel comfortable being able to put through. It's again 2-man taunt, and look at how much pressure that's given them.
It's honestly, if you're a very aggressive hunter player, and speaking of aggressive plays, Cypher just deletes awful on the back end of the gank from Hailstorm. And I was just saying before, especially on Izanami, going for that aggressive option, you are very confident as an ADC player. You know you have a good chance to get the kill. And at level 1, they were doing enough poke anyways.
Yeah, and again, they're now going to constantly go in. Flop from Barkers, immediately found with the Confound. Raijin, though, Zephyr's making a rotation. In fact, they 2 are. This is a 2-minute rotation, boys. What's up? Everything all good? Yeah. Want to get us a kill? Yeah, sure, we'll do that. They've got 1 more if they can find it with the auto, and Hailstorm will find it. That is 2 clean kills at the 2-minute mark. 3-0. Ravens already looking fantastic across the board in mid and duo lane.
Beautiful rotation coming out from the mid and jungler in that situation. And it took a little bit longer for Anthony to get out of base there. Not sure if he was trying to decide what he wanted to do or what, but definitely seems like a drop of communication on missing mid jungle. Unless it was called in the dual lane, just kind of ignored it, thinking that their side of the map would be a little safer than it was. But this is what happens in these aggressive comps.
Yeah, very interesting situation there. Also, I think there's a slight awkward situation for Awful, and we've all done it. Beads looks very similar to Teleport, and it's right next to it. Ra may have picked up Teleport unintentionally. We've all done it. I've done it, and I will petition for them to remove, or not remove, but move. Change the order. Put them in alphabetical order. Do something, please.
Not even that. Just
save this travesty from happening.
Honestly, just change the icon of one of them, please.
I'll give you that. Make one red. I think the red.
That would be honestly perfect solution right there. Make beads red.
Yeah. Beads? Ew, no. Make teleport
make beads
red.
Red. Teleport looks great as it is. Make beads red. Beads have multiple different colors.
That's true. That's true. Very true. Well, we can discuss that currently for the situation, but for Anthony's, that's going to be very difficult for them to work. Though it can end up. All right, I can't justify it. I can't justify it.
What I want to see, what he's going to have to do is with this teleport. The next time he's out pressured to near dying or does die, immediately teleport back into lane. Do not miss the wave at all.
Yes. Yeah.
He walked up to lane this past time. Fine. It's early on. Sure. Next time, use teleport, whether it's to go over to dual lane and counteract the regression.
Oh, hold on a sec. Talking about aggression, looks like Console Kids are going to start turning something. Good use of blocking the Athena dash, but there's no more follow-up available. Thana does have ult and could go for it if they felt like it, but Gonna play it safe, try and go for a triple bounce. It won't work. Instead, mid lane, King Zephyr is just running down Anthony because, well, they kind of can.
Yeah, this is exactly what Cypher should be doing, taking advantage of no beats, no ages. Although, here's the early aggression out of Thanatos. Cypher feeling that one from close up, having to back off himself. But as I was saying, this is the difference between picking Raw when you did and having a Raijin on the other team. You really got to know these comp and counter picks.
Ooh,
and
well,
Sav's he knows a little something about
teleport. I'm gonna see a little bit of a use of almost teleport, the idea of getting Athena back into lane. Ligma did get just enough support, the mitigation's coming in quite handily, and it does put the enemy team on a timer of, if we can't all in them, they've got reinforcements coming, they could potentially turn it around. And like I said, the mitigation is very, very strong, so good
Anthony,
to do.
please teleport.
That's
Stop
Athena
walking out of base. He's walking
Use
out of base.
the teleport! Use it! You've got
Use
it!
the relic! You have it!
Use it!
This is something everyone needs to learn. Make
Roll with
the
your
best
mistakes.
of the worst situation. You misclicked. Honest mistake.
Yes.
We get it. It happens. As a jungle mage before, I've gone mage's blessing. You know what? Played it through. It still worked out. Do not make that relic even worse by not using it.
Oh, well, blink through. Actually, no blink through, just jet stream. Will be able to steal away the buff. Uses Typhoon to buy themselves enough time to get back to their team. And now Zephyr's around the side. Ra Snipe connect. And that's the trigger that all's needed. Dana's going up. He'll look for someone, but just out of the range. Blink comes through, and he won't be able to follow up. Now Hoyi's made a rotation. No one's picked up this red, so they will at least have that to console them. See what I did there? Console.
Oh, Blur, you're killing me, man.
Tell you the honest thing,
dude.
I didn't. I genuinely didn't
honestly,
even plan that.
You know what? Honestly, I'll give you
even
credit for not doing it sooner. I'll give you credit for that. Honestly, with it that big of a pun just sitting out there, I'm surprised you did not do it sooner.
I didn't even intend to do it. My brain just sort of went, console. And then I realized.
Speaking of realizing,
Anyway,
for realizing
making
he
the best
popped
of
his
that
ages
situation.
as Tanner nearly kills him. Doing a great job with
Oh, that two-man taunt was huge! Looking for a potential turnaround, but they can't quite get in range. King Zephyr, Barkus with a two-man belch of the gods, doing just enough to peel everyone away. Meanwhile, mid lane's going a bit dual lane's going man mode. Izanami gets the better end of it. Doesn't matter, they can be seen through the invisibility. They had Young right where they wanted them.
Really unfortunate moment, and unfortunately for Sav, that's just a moment where you want to use your ult, leap away. You're not getting the damage off at that point. Tanner decides clear wave here instead of going after the kill. Honestly, not a horrible decision. It would have been nice to get the trade, but you don't want to risk an Izanami, just dashing away, making you use stuff for no reason. Take the farm while it's there, don't let it go to waste.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger one for me, is not losing an entire wave of farm that would just go to tower and then potentially put more pressure on Young. If you don't have that tier 1 tower, then you've got a problem. However, we're going to see Barkus make a rotation, followed up with the dazzling offense. That's 2 stuns in a row, but it's not really a good use of the CC because there's not much damage to follow it up. Lone Wolf will dash back away under their own tier 1 tower, and they're all hunky-dory now. They've got teleport up, they'll be totally fine.
Unfortunate timing for Tia's there. Ultimate coming out, but Lone Wolf countering it with his own, make sure he doesn't get CC'd. Honestly, if he gets CC'd there, Tony most likely cleans it up. Lone Wolf just starts falling behind, which a good decision by him.
No.
But Anthony, all right.
Goodbye.
Perfect learning moment here. Wards, the only ward we have for the mid laner is actually
Up
on the
high.
high wall, right in front of lane.
Right side?
Not even
Right side?
it's not even covering.
Hold on a sec, have to cut you off on there, because the cut off is exactly what happened for an invade on the blue buff. Tanner will be able to trade it 1-for-1, but it's mid lane for support, and honestly, console kids are okay with this. They did get the blue buff invade as well, since they did bring over Barkus to the right-hand side. But yeah, just to capitalize on the point, where this Ra has this ward, it's way too aggressive, considering that they can't play that far up.
That's not even aggressive. That's not even at that point, that's not even a ward. All you've done is say, hey, they're at a spot we can already see them. That ward needs to be further over to the left side, giving much more coverage of the entrance and exit of that part of the map.
Yeah.
Also,
Kind of where Ra is right now.
You have 0 defensive wards placed. They have been aggressively attacking you with your teleport relic. You can't be like right now.
So.
He should have been walking away already. He's down level to Raijin, which that kill on the right side was huge because that's golden XP that Raijin was just waiting to hand to somebody at that point.
Certainly agreeable, and now it's still not too bad. Yes, the kill columns do look dire for console kids, but it's only a 1200 gold lead. We haven't really seen much aside from one invade, and well, that was answered back by a blue buff invade. So in terms of that evens everything out. It's mostly these minion waves that have been missed and the pressure that that's being able to give. In terms of jungle experience and how that's been split, it's still fairly even, though like we did say, there's a slight level lead in the duo lane. Mid lane, about half a level. Jungle, though, Thanatos is up, which is definitely what you want to see. But hold that thought. Might be seeing a gank here. Jetstream's good. Hailstorm putting their Izanami further ahead and getting those Devo stacks.
Now, going back to what you said about the invades, I'm honestly surprised Raven have not stepped up the pressure in the jungle since that first invade. Because they've been able to kill this Raw almost instantly, like they're trying to do now. Double toss him out. Ultimate. Dead. Instant.
That's textbook. It's genuine textbook of someone who had beads down. Straight right there.
Right. This is... They should be They have Susanoo, Raijin, and Athena. There's honestly no reason with the pressure they have in this lane to not keep pushing. Especially with Duo now being pushed down. They should be getting cooldowns, and they should be invading every chance they get. Push their lead. Push it harder. Push it further. And get the Gold Fury. Honestly, I would bait a fight at Gold Fury if I were them.
Yeah, they certainly have the potential for it. Now sat at about 2,000 gold lead. Solo lane, been fairly quiet aside from the one gank, and this could be the turning point for console kids. This Amaterasu, the desk mentioned how fantastic not only Amaterasu ult is, but those auras for more power, more movement speed. Everything that Amaterasu brings is, I help my team do more in a team fight. At this rate, though, they aren't even going to get to a stage where they get to group up.
No, Raven doing a good job applying a little pressure at the front end of mid lane by the mini camps, but now everyone's wanting to do their own regroup, farm up a little bit. Oh, that early Thanatos scythe just hurt
and Athena ult?
so much. It was smart, honestly.
Athena
It's coming aggressive.
Which they have been able to do, but the pressure was onto Susanoo, so they've dropped that back off. I thought they may potentially look towards a Gold Fury look there. As you mentioned, they've got a lot of pressure in these lanes, and not too bad confirm if they can poke out the Ra, but they're still opting to just try and hard farm this. Want to get a little bit more online before they really look to try and secure an objective, especially against a Ra who has the best confirm on the map, I would say.
Honestly, what I want to see Raven do is, since Anthony is playing so... Cypher should go all in right now.
Go hard. All in him.
He had missed the opportunity here. He had the opportunity with Raw on his side of the map to just go all in, go aggressive. And...
there's an all-in potential.
Wait.
Okay. Well, that was an all-in attempt. They will be able to secure it eventually. We'll drink to that one. Not 100% sure on why Tyus jumped the other way. Could have secured the kill without the ult. But hey, the kill is secured. And that's a little bit of breathing room now for young Sav, just to get some more of those stacks. Surprisingly, though, they're still fairly even in terms of these Devourer stacks. Only 9 in it.
Honestly, this is surprising. With young Sav being 1 in 3, those 3 deaths... It seems that dude is not taking enough of advantage, or the console kids have been doing a great job on the left side of the map keeping their farm up. Now, I'm saying that, and we see both Duel and Harpies are still up. I get they're not the greatest farm and most important farm or whatever, but if you're getting both, it's still a good way to increase your lead, and especially when you're stacking.
Well, again, we've seen this one play out before. Ultimates haven't been used this time until now. Dazzling Offense will come out and connect. just trying to get a little bit more poke. They are going to tower dive. No, use Shell, but Raven used this opportunity. They see two on the right-hand side. How will Console Kids be able to defend on the left? They are starting to get a grouping, but it's too little, too late. Raven secure the Gold Fury. Thana's up, trying to chase it away. They'll only look for a straggler. They get one, but it's Athena, and they're able to dash out. No real follow-up available for them. Raven get that first Gold Fury they wanted.
Good job getting the Gold Fury, but in the mid lane, too, trying to get over aggressive. Hailstorm doing a good job of doing damage. Cypher cleaning up. Two with the double tires. Three onto the Taiko drum. Sav taking out Hoa, though, on the side. Hailstorm low. Cypher under half. Sav put absolutely so far down, and Hailstorm taking it up on the back end. Cypher getting damaged off of the Crashing Thunder, and honestly, that was a beautiful counterplay from the overaggression from the mid laner and support.
Raven were able to do so much on the back end. Usually that kind of play from Console Kids is the right thing. All right, they've backed away. They've gone towards, they got Gold Fury. They've invested a fair bit. We can look at mid lane. The problem is usually it's they've got Gold Fury and backed. They've got Gold Fury and backed. We can use this little bit of time to pressure mid lane or pressure Pyromancer. That's not what ended up happening here. There were still members around, and the investment was Susanoo all. That was the only investment, meaning that I say Hoa has still had the Defender of Olympus to be able to bail people out. They couldn't go as aggressively as they wanted, and Raijin still had more than enough damage as, well, that's pretty much what's been happening here. Is Ra goes in, Ra tries to do something, falls too far behind, doesn't have any way of getting out, and then it kind of all falls apart for Console Kids.
This all comes back to my initial concerns about Console Kids draft. You have the early game Thana. Don't get me wrong, the Thanatos is not doing bad. The issue here comes to the immobility from your mid laner on Raw. Now, yes, we can say
with or without beads, they'd still be in a problem.
Right. We can say the teleport, brings a whole nother issue, but the bigger issue is you have so much CC on the side of Raven, just out of the jungle, mid, and support. And even with beads, you will most likely be. If I'm the Susanoo and I see you beads as a Athena taunt, I will time the cooldown of your beads to instantly pluck you.
Again. Look at this damage, Thunder crashing. King Zephyr has never had any qualms or queries going in like that. It's going to be a rotation now, but look how far they've already been able to get back. Thana, I thought was channeling the ult, but doesn't. Now it's a 3v1, taunted back in, and now the Thunder Drums will come out. Good bit of damage. That healing is going to do next to nothing through a Divine Ruin. Thunder crashing again. Anthony does secure, finally, a kill with that ultimate, and Raijin may have overstepped due to a rotation from Ho Yi. They will be able to just eat themselves away. Thanatos gets executed thanks to a fantastic tip taunt touch. And now they're going to keep trying to dive this forward. As Anami's made full rotation. Gets this shot with the ultimate. That's 2 picks for 1. And a tier 1 tower should fall to follow.
Raven just played that beautifully. And honestly, Cypher is the luckiest one that is alive right now. I am amazed that he went so far just for the Amaterasu. He went past Anthony and he went past, I believe, Tias and Tanner.
Yes.
To keep chasing Tony. Who now falls, and I should stop talking about specific individuals.
This is bullying. This is straight bullying. Wherever Ice goes, King is there to follow up immediately. This damage, how are you supposed to deal with this at this point?
At this point, you have to turtle. You cannot aggressively push. You have to take the farm where you can. You have to wisely give up what you cannot fight. At this point, in a 5v5, the one who has the best chance of fighting is Tony on Amaterasu, but they are shredding him. This Raijin, with his build currently, between Divine Ruin, cooldown boots, Fear of Desto, and what I'm assuming is going to be Soul Reaver.
Not again! Look at this! Just Thunder crashing! Don't have to worry about anything. One shot of the Taiko drums is all that's needed. And the other two end up picking up enough damage to drop Janna as well!
Another double kill coming out of Cypher on the back of a taunt from Hoa. And now, Fire Giant being started by Ravens. Honestly, Console Kids just need to give this up. This is a 20 minutes. This is not EFG. Young staff,
you're not going to be able to defend.
Awarded an awkward spot, but you know where the rest of the Ravens are. And look at this. They're under half health. If Tanner and Anthony were both up, they can make a quick engagement and get a couple kills, take off the fire giant.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they're both down. There's not much you can do outside of pushing these waves. Tier 1 goes down in duo lane. Tier 1 mid is close to falling, so it's essentially a free tower at some point, as long as you don't get over aggressive.
Indeed. Now, though, some of those level leads are starting to purely snowball, especially on the 2 carries. Mid, 3 levels down. Hunter, 3 levels down. Jungle, about even, and support's as good as you're going to get. Solo laners are the same level, and that's going to be where things come down to. Oni has been picked up, but it's just trying to taunt everyone out. Raven do secure it without much contest. Now they're going to try and look to see what they can pick up. Nice silence, and they're going to try and chase out. They will force the ults. That should be all of it if Console Kids can get out, but that's not really the plan, and not able to be successfully done. Raven pick up another kill and transition nicely to mid, where Anthony is out of position, and now back in base.
That's a situation where as soon as Tia's died, which honestly, I'm just gonna say he did his job as a support. He did
what he could,
his team enough time that they could get out. Anthony needed to walk away. Sure, throw out your line, searing damage real quick. Throw damage out.
You can do that, but
walk away. Do not push up. Do not stay. Turn and run. You can't defend any of these tier 2s. It's a fire giant. You're down multiple levels. Matter of fact, the mid laner is down 5 to Cypher right now.
Ooh,
that's a big deal.
Very dangerous.
You can't afford to be out of position. And honestly, Raven's doing a great job of punishing them for it.
Indeed they are, and now with these Oni minions as well. One wave has been dealt with over on the right-hand side. Frenzy and the Suns will come out just to try and deter the rest of the fight, but Lone Wolf picks up Tana already. Raijin sat in the taiko drums, beating out Pain the entire time, gets away on only 100 or so HP, and everyone else from Console Kids has just crumbled.
Hailstorm getting punished for being way too aggressive, trying to clean up Tia. But the mid Phoenix does finally fall, which most people would tell you this is the hardest one in the game to get. And now with 2 waves, one of which being the Oni Fury wave, this left Phoenix is going to fall quickly. Ravens letting Fire Giant heal, but no.
They can go for it. Honestly, they can kind of go for this.
They have 5 seconds on 2 people.
Well, I don't think it really matters. Look at how fast this Titan is shredding. Thunder Crash in. Shell's been popped. Thunder goes up to just try and dissuade what they can. They're going to get low, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They've swapped off and gone for kills instead. Searing Pain getting 2, gets 2 picks. 3 have gone down, but it doesn't matter. Titan will fall. Raven able to clean this one up in under 22 minutes.
They were doing such a good job of defending, but they left dude alone on the back end of it. Someone needed to W key him to force him off the Titan. Unfortunately, because that didn't happen, he had a lot of free damage going on to Titan, even though he was walking away. And that's closing up this game 1. This just comes down to comps for me. This from minute 1. And again, we can argue the teleport relic all we want. It doesn't change my mind about how this game went.
Yeah. Because you just end up seeing beads forced once, and then it happens. So maybe we'll say 3 deaths don't happen for Ra. He's still 2-6-2.
No, right. If you ever see heavy CC and then an Athena picked up, try your best not to pick up an immobile mage like Ra, unless you're going to play back, play safe, and just go for long range damage, which is already hard enough to do on Ra as is. So,
indeed.
Honestly, Comskids, let's say they do want to redraft the Ra again. I want to see a support with better peel, better CC, and I would also like to see it out of the jungler. Like, if you can, Thor, even Raven would have been huge there because of his root and just early damage pressure. On the other hand, Raven, just great job playing their comp.
That's the thing as well. We can talk about Console Kids and their draft till the cows come home, but it's up to Raven to punish and play their comp, which is what they were able to do. They played it well. They grouped up early. They played through their lead, which is Zephyr, who did fantastic through the early stages. Got a lead, never let it go from what I saw. So I'll be interested to see whether or not he gets that one back. But talking about people who are interested to see what's going to happen, we got 2 people standing by on the desk. So Dave, Frog, break this one down for us.
Thank you so much, Supersonic Blur and Vengeance, for casting that game. Fantastic work. And I think I got to comment on what Vengeance said, but I don't want to see the Raw again. Like, if they pick it again, they got to do something completely different and out of the box than what they did, because I was not happy with his gameplay at all that game.
I mean, I have to agree with you there. The positioning was kind of all over the place. He was playing like he had beads and Aegis level 1 when he had teleport. It just didn't make sense to me. He was pushing up really far despite having Celestial Beam, which is a super long-range clear ability. But I think what really broke the backs of console kids was that Gold Fury fight. For whatever reason, Bacchus rotated to the solo side to try and get a kill despite them not having any success in the past. And that just opened up the Gold Fury. And then after that Gold Fury, they wanted to chase it out further to try and maybe punish them for, you know, getting a free Gold Fury. But instead of punishing them, all that happened was Zypher got a triple kill and Susanoo got another one. And really from that point forward, it was just unwinnable for console kids.
Speaking of Zypher, he absolutely fragged this game. I mean, it got towards the mid game. It was a little bit, and I hesitate to say the word slow, you know, when I talk about the Raven victory, because they did win in 22 minutes. But for a while there, it seemed like they should have been a lot farther ahead than they were. I mean, they were up 9-1 in kills or something like that. We were 10 minutes into the game, and they were only 1,000 gold ahead. It really was that Gold Fury fight that broke it open. But after that, I mean, this mid laner was without fear dashing on people in the mid lane, just exerting his dominance, ended up going 13-2 and 6, 10,000 damage above his opposition. And I'm really looking for, I mean, you know what, maybe console kids just have to ban out his Raijin.
I mean, I'd have to agree with you there. If you're gonna give, or at least the very least, if you're gonna give them Raijin, give your mid laner something to fight back with. The Ra just didn't really work out for any of us. I think we all agree that the Ra just wasn't able to put any pressure on the map. He was just getting picked left and right. So maybe like a Discordia or something in the first 3 picks instead of the Hu Yi, try to maybe prioritize your mid pick and make sure he doesn't fall too far behind early, because I think that falling behind in mid just like spilled over to duo lane and spilled over to solo lane just too much, and it was console kid was just unable to handle it.
All right. Well, if we want to see console kids have some success in this game too, we're going to have to see them reprise possibly a different draft, you know, prioritize different gods, and you know, see what happens. We're actually not going to take a quick break like we normally do. We're going to keep on track here, keep it going for you guys, jump directly into the game 2 picks and bans. I think console kids are still on the left side of your UI. Raven are still on the right. And so we are going to see, I expect to see some of the same bands. You know, I think those were pretty typical coming out of last time, and we do see the same bands so far, but I don't expect them to prioritize the Bacchus as highly as they did.
I mean, if they don't first pick Raijin here, I don't know what they're doing. I think that you have to take it out of Zypher's hands, and look at that. That's exactly what they do, and you give it to Anthony's awful.
Picks and bans going incredibly quick here. We're struggling to keep up a little bit. Apologies for that. But, I mean, 2 of the top mid laners picked off the bat. Raijin taken away from King Zypher, and he takes the next best thing on the board in many people's opinions. That would be the Discordia. And picking up the Izanami to reprise that in the dual lane. That's not something that we talked about a ton, but Izanami, in addition to some help from Susanoo towards the mid game, really had a hold on that dual lane, and I wasn't happy with the Hu Yi.
Nami's just like the level 1 clear was able to put a ton of pressure on the Hu Yi and Bacchus. They don't have very good clear to begin with, so I'm kind of curious to see how console kids pressures out this Izanami. Maybe pick up a horrific emblem on your support. That's what I like doing when I'm playing support. You just pick up the horrific, drop it on the Izanami. Now she loses a lot of her clear, but looking at this, I think it's an Odin support, so console kids might have something in their back pocket.
It may very well be. Odin's support is not something that I am necessarily a fan of, especially in this situation where all 3 of the picks on Raven can get out of that cage scot-free. Of course, the Odin cage now does damage when you do that. But still, I mean, that's a big aspect of his kit that's not going to get as much effectiveness as I would really like it to be. We do see the second phase of picks and bans coming through here. It looks like Hailstorm Susanoo gets taken off the board. No surprise there. He was the secondary force that won them that game, in addition to the Raijin just popping off. So, you know, they've taken the Raijin away. They've taken the Susanoo away. And, you know, I'm hoping that they take the Daji instead of the Athena, but they already have the Jing Chen, so they're not going to have the Athena taunts to prey on this Raijin as like they did the Ra either. And so I think that this is a good strategy for console kids. I really like how they're approaching this draft.
I have to agree with you there. Not to mention they put some more pressure in solo with that Yorm pick. I really like the way the solo lane was played last round. That was their only lead coming into that Gold Fury fight, and
Agreed.
Playing off the solo lane with a Jormungandr is going to be huge. And not to mention the fact that Yorm can see through stealth, and the top 2 picks on the Ravens happen to have some stealth under dashes, so...
Completely agree. I mean, the Amaterasu not known for being a super aggressive pick, and the Achilles known to be one of the more lane pressure gods, but Amaterasu was still able to keep her level up there the entire game. She was their one beacon of hope, and giving that player Tony, Yorm, right, a known solid solo lane god, doesn't really lose lane, doesn't really get out pressured ever. And again, into the 2 stealth gods, that's a fantastic point, as we do see Pele come out here from the side of the Ravens, going to be looking to probably put a lot of pressure on this Raijin. Raijin is pretty easy to dive with if you're Pele, personally, in my opinion. Like you mentioned last game, Raijin doesn't move a ton, and his movement speed goes way down. That makes it real easy to hit that Pele combo. So if Raijin doesn't pick up his positioning from last game on the Ra, I'm still a little bit worried about him.
Not only that, but that last game was, 21 minutes long? Pele, one of the best early game junglers in the game, outside of from maybe Thanatos, and I think really what Raven's strategy here is just step on the gas pedal and put console kids down early. But the Cernanos pick may be trying to counteract that a bit.
Cernanos, a known early game god towards the duo lane, doesn't have the clear that Izanami has, but definitely has the fight potential. So, and there was a lot of fighting in the duo lane last time, and Izanami did get low a number of times, and Huyi isn't really known for that. So possibly now getting the benefit of a more early game, a little bit more high base damage god in towards the early game. I'm looking for Cern to continue to take these fights. I loved his aggression, but he's actually got to win them. We also see Nike in the jungler, a very popular pick in the last couple of weeks in the SPL, ever since Sino completely changed the meta, apparently. So I think we're going to end up seeing that in the jungle, which I'm a big fan of. I've loved how it's come out, and we're going to see King Arthur in the solo lane, which is a little bit surprising to me, given that I don't think that's a very good matchup into York.
I don't think so either. I think really what it comes down to is, can console kids leverage this triple frontline effectively? Can they swap out? They have 2 characters with shields, being Odin and Nike, so if they can swap out, not to mention Yorm can just go into his ultimate and just avoid a lot of damage there. So it really comes down to whether or not console kids can really work well with this frontline, and if they can, I think I can see them winning, but at the same time, Raven's stellar performance game 1 puts an asterisk on that.
Absolutely. Give me one last opinion. Who do you think is going to take this game home? Are we going to a game 3, or is it ending right here?
All right. So without taking into consideration Raven's performance, I think I actually do like console kids draft a bit more. However, realizing that Ravens were able to kind of end that game in 21 minutes, I'd have to give it to the Ravens here.
I think I have to agree with Day. We'll see if they can close it out here, as we're going to jump into a quick break before game 2, console kids versus Raven.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Raven took game 1 in 1 second shy of 22 minutes. Now, they've had a slightly different draft here, but let's see whether or not they can do the same thing. Remember that both of these two teams are sat at the bottom of the lead, so someone's getting points today. Console Kids, though, trying to make sure they at least get something for their troubles. Supersonic Blur back on with Chair 1. And Vengeance is still here somehow. I don't know how he does it, honestly. Like, I genuinely thought he would have left with the amount of puns I make so far.
You made one pun last game. Thank
Did
God.
I?
Thank God for
Did
that.
I?
Yes, because you always emphasize your puns, Blur.
Do I? Yes, most of the time. Not all of the time. There are some
I
that are
swear you're
sneaky.
trying to chase me away.
There are some sneaky ones there, but that is my path to victory on everything. So that's what I will do. Meanwhile, Console Kids, much more aggression coming out for this early game, though not with the Barkers, this time with the Odin, something we're much more likely to see. Jing Chen, who was banned out this game. What is it that Jing Chen really warrants being banned for here?
Banned?
Oh, hello. That's something we didn't get to see last game. Anthony picks up first blood. That was a solo kill onto the Discordia. Zephyr put down early. That caught both of us by surprise there. But I guess it just goes to show how strong this early game is. Odin, though, pushed back. Will shell and get the team back to safety. But yeah, what is it different for how this dynamic's going to be for this duo lane as we see a bit of an invade going on?
Well, with the Jingtian being in lane, he does create
no. What?
He does create a presence in dual lane with the aggressiveness that can keep up with Odin's. Now, when TS hits level 3, it's going to be a lot harder for Hoa to keep up with that aggressiveness because he can just bird bombs, auto stun.
Hello?
Speaking of keeping up with aggression, Lone Wolf's doing a great job of not only keeping up, but out-aggressing Tony and getting the first kill in solo lane, but it's
round the back.
Banner.
Nike has made the rotation. Just do it is what they're planning to do, but there's no real follow-up available for them. Their Raijin has made their way over here, so they're looking to try and find something, but couldn't find the Raiju to get some more damage. Pele will turn it around. They're going to just try and sort of hover here, but this is great for Zephyr. That's free farm for them in the mid lane. Look, that wave's gone into tower, and now they're already working on the next wave. I'm not a fan of that.
It was a nice rotation, but it was too long for Anthony. He needed to come immediately back as soon as the aggression started dying down and going away. And he already died to the Pele once. You don't want that happening again. She's got good early pressure, even though, you know, she's not considered to be that much of an early game god. He did die to her once. So when she started walking, I feel like he should have probably taken that as a hint. Go back to mid, farm. Now, he's punished. He's down a level to Zypher, who's now getting the neutrals. Was getting the neutrals.
He dropped away off it? I'm very confused here.
Okay, the clear doesn't happen fast enough. So Zypher is actually fortunate, in my opinion, not to have lost this wave. He went back to do one neutral with this play.
Ooh, forces the Aegis, which isn't a teleport this time. Now Awful in a very awful spot. Does get Thunder Crash up just in time. They will squeak their way back to tier 1 tower, but that's a TKO. And now this is a wave he doesn't get the experience on. Solo side, Yumanganda is a level up and will get into the World Serpent first. But they're still being chased away. Lone Wolf dashing in to follow them. There's the slow. If he can just find the damage, he will be able to do it. And he keeps going, but he gets back on the tower. And a nice little safety net there coming out from the passive on Warrior's Blessing. Keeps Tony alive.
One of the things I want to point out about why Lone Wolf is able to do so much pressure, he's got Glad Shield fully.
Oh boy.
On the other hand, Tony only has tier 1 of Jade and tier 1 of Boots. So it's a lot riskier for him.
Oh, there's some risk play coming on forward. Nike blinks in. There's the up-down. Tana sucks. Picks up the Jing Chen. They will be sent back to base. Solo side, though. Pele makes a rotation. The Volcanic Lightning is good, but it's not what is needed for the last shot. So trade out. Overall, who does that really favor, though?
Oh,
What? Are we in arena? Is this arena? I'm not going crazy when we're playing arena right now, right?
I think the issue right now with Anthony is ever since that first kill, he's been playing up and really aggressive. The problem is he's dealing with a Discordia, who has CC and very good burst damage, and an ultimate that you don't get to really control. And he's got Aegis on top of that, not Beats. Aegis is fine, but it does not let you escape any of the CC like Beats would. So you're stuck in place, and he can just time out your Aegis for free if he really wants to. So it's at this point, sure, if you want to get down an aggressive ward, go for it. But get back towards the mid of your lane so you can play back as needs to. If he's got 1 health, fine, play aggressive. But if he's near full, I would say give it up unless you're clearing instantly.
Indeed, you can't afford to do that as effectively. I think he's kind of always playing like he was Zephyr last game in the lead that they had. But that's the thing, is there was an Athena around the corner the whole time. There was a Susano around the corner. Taking the straight 1v1 when it's this close, you can't afford to do. And you get into that mentality of, oh, they were only 1 HP, but hold that thought. Thunder Crash interrupted. Over on the backside, Volcanic Lightning misses. Now the Taiko drums will come out to return fire. Taunt into tower, but it's not quite good enough. They will trade out 1 for 1. But it's mid lane for jungler currently. Nike still doing what they can, but I don't think they quite have enough damage here to take it down. That, though, will be enough to secure it. Tanner sucks with the last hit. And Anthony able to Thunder Crash in. There's a rotation from Kernanos, though, early on. Polymorph is good, and that's all that's needed.
Absolutely beautiful rotation out of Sav there to clean up. It's 3 for 1. The fact that Tios is the only one who died in that engagement with Anthony being as low as he was is beautiful and perfect for console kids. Raven, unfortunately, catching the wrong side of that engagement. Tanner coming in at the perfect time. And I mean, console kids look 10 times better than last game.
Yes, they most certainly do. They're actually up for the first time in this entire set. In 28 minutes, they've had a lead. It's a small one, but they've had a lead. All right, they had a small lead at the beginning of the game. But, like I said, they've actually been able to accrue something, and they've looked like a cohesive unit. I hope that this doesn't end up sort of almost giving them a bloody nose of like, oh my god, we did it, we can keep fighting. They've got to look at that and go, all right, why did we win that? Well, we won that because Volcanic Lightning completely whiffed. We were able to peel ourselves back out. That was good. They can't rely on that happening every time. They've got to set themselves up to keep going here. And Anthony, that is not how you do that.
Nope. Oh, he walked back into it. Anthony Aegis.
Good Aegis.
Great timing. Avoids the damage.
What?
Volcanic Light.
Why blink into Volcanic Lightning? But Hailstorm, oh, that was a Hail Mary play. Gets themselves away. Hey, it got a kill. Ultimately, it got them a kill.
It did. I'm not going to lie, though.
I
would have loved to see Anthony use the taunt on Taiko drums. So that
would have been great.
He would not have taken 2 hits from Volcanic Lightning after the initial. Hailstorm would have died.
Definitely.
Your max damage
it would have been very close. It would have been very close. It still would have potentially been a trade out 1 for 1, but a trade out is better than just getting nothing. Now, Tony, able to just grab themselves away. Nice use of the World Serpent. Doesn't even wait to see if they could get out any other way. They knew someone was going to be making a rotation, so they just say, nope, I'm out. I went for something, it didn't work, and that's okay. So, hopefully, we mentioned, or the devs mentioned, that Tony was the only one who really was able to hold their level. Fortunate there. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel off the mark. No one's going to be getting picked up by that mid. This is just a fight fest. I ain't going to get a chance to ask you a question here.
No, Anthony in bad positioning, going to the inside of the RP camp.
No.
And speaking of dies for it, young 70, we're looking at how low Boa was, but that's the support. ADC is always more worth it, and ADC sitting behind gets a free kill off of it.
That was free casting! How do you let an army free cast like that? No mana, your support's on no HP. If they come back into peel, they die. Focus your ADCs, guys. Target selection is important.
Or, you know what we call that as gamers? Tunnel vision.
Don't you say it. Ah.
I don't know what you were thinking I was going to say, but that's called tunnel vision when you get focused on one target.
Yep. Yep.
I don't know what else you were thinking there.
Something I ain't even gonna say. I ain't gonna even dignify it by saying it. It's not worth saying. That's all. That's as much as I'll say on that. And now, unfortunately, Raven have been able to wrestle back themselves a lead. Jormungandr 2-on-1 right now. These two don't really have huge amounts of CC to control it, so Ligma ends up taking a spill themselves, and they're still kind of holding back in. This one's a lot closer than the blowout we saw from the first game.
No, this is. Like I said before, console kids are just playing much better than before, doing a good job. They're down a tower, they're down 2 kills. Awesome.
But they're still in this.
Down 3 now.
That's a very unfortunate look, but good volcanic lightning. Osiris Cage, sorry, Odin Cage comes out, which spends the entirety of the Pele passive. No healing for her to keep this one going. Blink from the Nike is good. We can't find the last basic. Minions, though, doing a good work. Tanasak finds it with the jump. That's a Goomba stomp right there, if ever I saw one.
Well, that right there is just the outplay of...
Oh, good use of the ultimate there from Nike. Sentinel of Zeus is just enough to buy them the time, mostly the CC immunity.
Now,
going back to your point.
As I was saying before, Tanner just made an 1,000 IQ play by making Hailstorm go back towards minions.
Yes.
You take damage, and they're archers no less, so they really, really hurt.
They have auto-aim, okay? Archers suck. You can't fight them. They'll always hit you.
Young Sev, though, making an outplay of his own, backing on the enemy side of the map.
He did it this time.
Aggressive. No, he got out, but, you know, it's been interesting watching these little skirmishes. It's a lot more than last game.
Indeed. It's been very interesting seeing how Raven have been able to change the tempo of this game right now. All 5 of them currently doing what they can, individually and as a team, especially around this mid lane. 6 puns, by the way.
I'm ignoring them.
Now, though. Yeah, you don't even know what they are. That's the best thing, and don't know who they are. Pele blinks forward, pushes Young to a very low and awkward predicament. Thunder Crash in, but it's eating a lot of damage. Meanwhile, Tanner's gone. King gets 1 kill again. Young out of there with the barest of HPs. Tier 1 tower's already gone. They're just going to keep on running this one down the left-hand side.
They do need to be careful, though. Cypher going through the tower ended up taking a couple hits because he decided he wanted to do some damage while underneath. Luckily, he doesn't get punished for it, but they get. But
now they can't do gold, can they?
Yes, they can do gold. Ho is here. Ho has got full health. Izanami full health. Has Devo's gauntlet.
I'm fully stacked too.
Yeah, this is easy gold fury. It's free. No one on the side of console kills are going to be available to challenge this in time. It even
that's a big swing.
Thought about it, recognized it, decides to go back, clear the wave. Smart move. Console kids, honestly, they need to clear this mid lane now. Get that clear. They can try and apply a little pressure at the top end of mid, try and get this tower down. But they still
we know what happened the last time they went for this. They not having the last time they went for this. They ended up with a triple kill going against them, and it kind of pretty much broke the back of, or started the slow decline into Raven's favor. Now, though, they're going to play this one safer, just opt for Pyromancer. 4 members are around. No one's really opting to try and contest this from Raven, and I like this. You're up already. You don't need to win every hand of poker. You just need to win enough to out-muscle your opponent, and that's what they're doing right now.
No, it was very smart to give it up, but it was also smart on console kids to do it, not allow Raven to have it later on, because now that's a little bit of gold recovered. You don't have to worry about it. Plus, if Raven wants to go for another early fire giant or fight around it, you have a quick way back into the lane. So right now, what I want to see console kids do is focus on farming and being grouped as a team when you want to do something. That's one thing Raven's been doing well, traveling as 2 or more wherever they go to make sure they get what they want. Console kids start doing it, it'll give Raven a lot more issues, seeing that you have Odin ult, Sentinel of Zeus out of Nike.
This could be the big thing that they're looking for. Nike will trade places with Odin, who goes in for the ultimate, but doesn't even get a chance to get out. Taiko drums rip through good damage, but it doesn't matter. No one else is there to follow it up. Now Kononos is trying to deal with a 1v1 on Pele. Raijin will be able to finally pick up Jing Chen, but it's all too little, too late. It's still a 2-for-1. Pele takes the 1v1. Tier 1 tower has fallen. And Raijin jumps in to 3. You can't do that, buddy. I know we saw it happen last game, but this is not last game. You are not King Zephyr. You do not have a 3-level lead. You cannot be doing plays like that, buddy.
Speaking of 3-level leads, Cypher does have a 3-level lead again this game.
Deja vu.
As you said, I don't know if it was he couldn't turn around in time when he was pressing it, but he needs to have a little more patience when trying to teleport out of that situation. Make sure he's turned around towards this Phoenix to get out. He did a good job of cleaning out, pushing in, but in the end, he just traded himself out. So again, Ravens got a little bit of advantage. 5 towers to 3, up around 4k gold, 14-8 in kills. Console Kids really need their team fight to come online here.
Well, that's what they're going to try and hope to do. Might be all through this Nike if she can find one more hit, but she can't. She's now the one who's having to try and turn it around. Minions, body blocks were good. Ligma, dude! Well, tells Tana where to suck it. And that's exactly what ends up happening. Trash now. Maybe getting put down in the ground themselves. They could get turned on here. I couldn't resist. Look, I gotta get one good pun off. Now Kernanos has made the rotation, but Whirlwind of Rage and Steel will come out, forces beads, and Odin back, but there's no one really around. Ligma can't afford to jump up that far. They're still low. So now turnaround is there. Wild Hunt wildly off the mark, but they're still in the cage for a little bit of time. This should be a kill. It's just about how much time it's going to take for them to commit to that.
You know, one of the things I'm interested that I've noticed this game is I haven't seen, especially tanks, try and really juke these autos. The way that I've seen them tank is they walk forward, they do a quick right, and then walk forward again. If you're trying to juke, try suddenly turning hard left.
We need to unbind right now. We need to unbind Anthony's 3 key. He's playing like Captain Twig, but is not Captain Twig, so can't afford to 1v1 this. It's jumping in, and then immediately Aegis-ing like, oh god, what have I done? I shouldn't have done that. Anthony, you have to pump the brakes, please.
Unfortunately, that was a 1 or 2v4 as Raven did a smart job of collapsing together. Unfortunately for Anthony, he's too far down to be trying to take these fights. He is the one member of Console Kids who really needs to put everything he has into farming. I would even say Tanner needs to either have him with him or give up some of his jungle farm to him so he can farm safely and get caught up. Yeah. Because right now, Anthony is your biggest source of burst damage.
Yeah.
Like you need him online. He's got Soul Reaver. If he gets even, it is going to be really hard for Raven to just W key.
Indeed, and we see an interesting look here. Even faster than the first time, Raven are looking towards a fire giant. Members from Console Kids are around, but Frenzy's been popped, and members are backing off. What is this, Ravens? Now more members from Console Kids are here. The Raijin is around to potentially try and steal this. Console Kids get it with a thunder crash. Tanner picks up 1. 4 members are pretty much gone now at this point. Ligma Dude is just about able to skin themselves away. 3 kills and a fire giant goes the way of Console Kids. That's a huge turnaround in momentum for them.
That hesitation from Raven when Horrific was popped gave Console Kids, and more specifically Anthony, all the time they needed to get there and get the chance to steal the Fire Giant. Anthony, as soon as that comes, he's got the Fire Giant damage amplifying him. Now has caught up, essentially, just from the kills he got with his Tycho drums.
That was insane. You heard me mention it. It's like Frenzy's been popped. I expected Raven to just dump absolutely everything. But they hesitated in a split second. That bought everyone else from Console Kids enough time. It also meant that you had a second of time where you were not DPSing the Fire Giant with your Frenzy. That was all that was needed for Console Kids. Now they're up 3,000 gold. Mid-tier 1, mid-tier 2, left side tier 1 and tier 2 goes that way. Everyone from Console Kids is looking now to be able to push things down. They'll even get themselves a Primal Fury just because it's there on the way out. And this is coming up aces now for the Console Kids.
No, and this just goes to show that even the tiniest mistakes can have the biggest impact in Smite. That one hesitation that would have given them the Fire Giant for sure has worked against them.
Well, now they're going to try and take this fight. Raijin put low. King Zephyr will be the one who secures it. Now those stuck in the cages. Pele meaning no more healing. They'll try and wind up the lightning. They aren't able to ride that one out. Tanner picks up 1 for 1. But against a Fire Giant team, that's not too bad. Unfortunately, young Sav is here to save the day. Save the day.
Okay. No, that's not good. That's not even. That was
I
so
didn't
much of a.
salvage that.
No, that was so far of a stretch with the way you worded that pun. you have to stop for the rest of the night. That was horrible.
You could say it was awful. You could say it sucked. It was trash. Am I now a lone wolf here on the cast? I think I am.
No, I'm not giving you any satisfaction. That actually just made it even worse. Oh my. Holy bro.
Never give me free reign. I will just tear through. I think we're on, what, 8, 9 puns now?
You are tier 1. You have the free reign. What do you mean? Alright.
I think he has genuinely gone. That being said, now right-hand side, excuse me. Bit of a siege potential going on. Good whirlwind Rage of Steel puts members low. Console kids, though, are more busy prioritizing the Pyromancer. I'm surprised at this. When you've got this Fire Giant belt, pressure out what you can and then sweep back if you can't quite get those other objectives, because Pyromancer's going to respawn. That tier 2 tower is not. We'll have to see now if they group up for this one to go back in again. Raijin has made the rotation. It's big.
Do so, but actually relinquishes it to Tias, and Tanner manages to get a kill on the back end of things on Ho, who tried going aggressive, gets a double on the Lone Wolf, stepping up too far. Tias dives in with Tony, and Cypher gets waited on the final step of Tony's ultimate. Console kids are going to get this Phoenix for free.
They could even
5v2.
They genuinely could potentially try and end here if they want to go in. Blink, though, is huge coming out from Hailstorm. Already picks up 1. Ligma cleans up the 2nd kill, and that buys enough time for Hailstorm to get a little bit more damage out. Tanner Sucks will put them down, and his army just can't quite find the basics, so I have to self try and go for the Jormungandr instead. 3 members gone for both sides, but the damage was already done. Right side Phoenix is gone. Console kids up almost 8,000 gold. Well, actually 7,000 gold now. I can do basic maths.
All right, Blur, I'm going to talk about builds for a second, because I've noticed a couple things.
Go ahead.
One, the difference between tankiness between console kids, solo and Raven solo.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur has Glad Shield, Warrior Tabby, Runic Shield, and then Ankule, I'm sorry. And then he goes into Blackthorn Hammer. He has very minimal physical and magical protections right now. Whereas, out of Tony, you have Jade Emperors, Contagion, which gives you anti-heal, perfect against an Arthur.
And physical protections, and health.
And Mantle of Discord.
Discord. All fantastic.
All of protections. And then, the most interesting thing of all that I noticed that was in last game. Izanami, who just died, went Brawler's third. Doesn't have an Executioner until now.
Yeah, that one surprises me. Last game against to buy anti-heal, sure. This game, you don't really need that anti-heal, so kind of just set in the ways there, though they're not on the map currently. We'll have to see. That's a pun that's in the game. You got to give me that one. That's Tina. You can blame Tina for that one.
I'm letting that one go. I am letting that one go.
You have to. You have to. It doesn't look like Raven want to let this Fire Giant go, which is where everyone started to set things up. Console kids lock 2 in the cage already, and now Taiko drums come through. It's big damage. Discordia Taunt isn't good enough to stop that one going over the top. Raijin put down low in the ground. I say Hoa finds that one now. It's on for the Volcanic Lightning and the turnaround. They get rooted in place, but there's no way they're going to be able to keep this one going. That's 3 members for 1. Console kids still running this one down.
And it's running it down. Tony Will goes into the World Serpent and knocks Cypher up not once but twice, going for the 3rd, misses with the dash.
Nice isolation.
They just cannot catch up to Cypher. He's zooming across the map right now, but the kill on Young Sav on the turnaround. Tony's caught in an awkward spot.
This is an overextension. This is a straight overextension. Now console kids are going to have to dip away and slink into the jungle. Beautiful little play from Tony, just slinking back away round to the right-hand side. But console kids started off good. They couldn't quite find enough targets over a step to try and pick up Zephyr, whose CC we mentioned before, how good a Discordia's CC can be. That's all that's needed to buy enough time to get these picks. They're going to try and grab Oni Fury here, which will buy him a good reprieve if they're going to be able to get it. All it takes is one shot, and he gets it! Bird Bomb stealing away Oni Fury, juking out the Golden Apple, which is Puffball in this case. But that is everything console kids want. You hand it to them on a gold platter.
That isn't only what they wanted, that's what they needed. Ravens getting an Oni Fury there stalls the Fire Giant push that is currently going through on the right side Phoenix. It also gives them aggressiveness throughout this game onto Fire Giant, which is the fact, and the biggest problem, Raven did not ward aggressively to make sure that no one would be around. Tia's at a little over half health, and as a tanky Odin has plenty of health to be there to challenge and gets the steal for it.
Indeed, now console kids are going to be the ones who start this Fire Giant. They know that members are going to have to try and clear the waves. They can already see at least 2 on the map, so they know they're able to do it. Left side Phoenix has respawned. Console kids get Fire Giant, and they're still going for a fight. Nike getting low, but it doesn't have Sentinel of News to be able to keep it going. Arthur, though, not as tanky as we mentioned, has to back this one away. So they will get away, but look at that minion pressure. In all 3 lanes, there is pressure for console kids. So they're going to be able to push up any one of these lanes, and they know that Ravens still have to worry about this right-hand side Phoenix, because that's a fire wave that's barreling down it.
Yes, and it was a good decision by both teams to disengage when they did. Console kids getting a little too low. Raven recognizing there's Oni waves we still have to deal with. Now, this Fire Giant was a big difference between the last one. Console kids, when they got it below half health, they did not hesitate. They did not drop. They kept it going. Even with Ravens right there, they kept going and just cleaned it up. They had a beautiful ult out of Tia's to zone, so they got exactly what they wanted.
Oh, well, what they want now is let this right-hand side Phoenix. They're going to start trying to put a little bit of damage in. Just going for poke more than anything else as Jormungandr pushes up mid. Not the usual 4-1 split that we're used to seeing. Slightly less tankiness on this right-hand side, but the burst potential is still there. And Nike can kind of make up with that Sentinel of Zeus for a good bit of HP. That pulls one away to the mid side, and that's all that console kids needed. Already one's gone down. Phoenix isn't even the target. It's the members of Raven. The bird now falls, and they're barreling into the Titan room. It's a second member who gets low, and will end up not making it out of that one. But will they be able to keep it going? Hailstorm finds one, so it's still a 2-for-1. But console kids looking a bit too low to try and go on for this second Phoenix or ending here.
Now, Lick was getting picked off here by Tanner thanks to the rotation out of Tony. Unfortunately, Young Staff and Tanner getting picked up on the back end by Cypher, who's getting aggressive. And Tony finally now recognizing using the World Serpent to get closer, but Tia is extremely low.
Cooldowns.
If it was not for the shield.
Blink. It's got Blink. Hailstorm does still have Blink. Doesn't have the ult available for it. They're going to keep chasing. But I think that might be all said and done. Mid Phoenix. What?
I'm very disappointed.
Confused.
I'm not disappointed in console kids as a team. I'm disappointed in the fact that they couldn't end because Tony was still in mid. Instead of using the World Serpent as soon as Right Phoenix went down to help apply pressure around the Titan, which would have given them possibly 2 more kills. There was a huge opportunity to end completely missed. This puts them at risk of Ravens being able to push back. You just saw Cypher come on the back end and killed nearly 3 members of console kids because of it.
It was huge. It is absolutely huge, and I think it goes back again to this idea of communication. What are you planning to do? Are you going for mid Phoenix? Are you going to end? Whatever call you make, it doesn't matter. Whatever call you make, everyone has to do it. If you get 2 picks and then swing back for the mid Phoenix because your member's already there, that's fine. But whatever it is, Tony has to push the minions in, and let minions do the work. You are not there to do tower or objective damage as a Jormungandr. You're not your mid, you're not full damage, you are there to be big, thick, tanky snack boy. You were not there in that fight, you show up late, and it causes a huge amount of issues. I mean, look, you can see here already, nearly 300 physical protections and a massive amount of magical protections and nearly 3,000 health. That is an impenetrable, immovable wall for the Ravens to have to try and deal with. 10, by the way.
No, now the only good thing about getting away from that fight at the end for console kids is that their tanks still have Fire Giant. So they are a little extra tanky with that. So if they do want to push a Phoenix, as long as they're aware of where the jungler, ADC, and mid are from Ravens, well, never mind, it wore off. But if they wanted to push a Phoenix, Tony and Tia's had the opportunity to tank it for a while.
Indeed, though. This isn't a bad look for what they're looking at now. Primal Fury, additional damage and mitigation on the next Fire Giant. Second one for this team as well. 14% additional damage and mitigation against a Fire Giant. That is a lot for them to go for, but with the time that they have between this Fire Giant coming back up, they're just going to push up this left-hand side, and no one from Ravens is really stopping them right now.
Also, kids need to be a little careful about this push, and Ravens now backing. This is interesting because Fire Giant's coming up in 10 seconds.
But they don't want Fire Giant. They're not even interested in it. They're going to try and backdoor this left-hand side Phoenix. They'll be very careful on the option to do so. Ultimates are going to come through, and it's a punished attempt there. Tanasucks picks up ones, but it's already done. The Tarries have gone. Odin went in afterwards. Raiden goes in and gets completely blown out of the water. Tanasucks re-evaluates their options, goes back in 3 for 2 in this engagement, but it's completely gone Pete Tong for console kids, thanks to Ravens backing up and just pushing them out of the Phoenix.
Yeah, this is part of my concern with that Fire Giant coming up as quickly as it was. This seems to be an issue of timer knowledge or just not paying attention to the map. Because yes, even though Raven were full pushing, if Raven really wanted to, they could have pushed that lane all the way up and taken the EFG. Yeah. And then pushed right lane even further. But now, not only do they have a chance at getting that, they just essentially wiped you. They just showed you guys can't really afford to push us without Fire Giant.
Indeed. I think the big one for me is the lack of minions that they get. They all in committed for it, thinking, well, if they want to get Fire Giant, they'll give up this Phoenix, and then we can kind of call it even. But Ravens called their bluff and said, no, we're going to fight you. And console kids didn't seem to know what to do in that instance. They have to be thinking, right, how are we going to play this if they fight us? How are we going to play this if we give up EFG? How are we going to play this if they do this, that, or the other? They have to be having this conversation the whole time they're pushing. Because if they're not doing that, then they are absent-mindedly grouping and coalescing, and they just happen to blunder into that situation. You can't be doing that.
And you know, the other thing that gets me is console kids, when they pulled Fire Giant, they pulled it so cleanly that it's surprising they wouldn't have immediately gone for it.
Oh, well, they're going to try and lock down one, and that's a big pick for them already. This Pele's been causing them a lot of issues on the backside with their carries, so grabbing that one clean pick for 2 ultimates, absolutely fine at this instance, especially given the 2 ultimates they were. That's Odin ult, which you don't necessarily have to worry about with its low cooldown, and that's Nike ult, which is all about making sure that whoever you've got in front of you can't get out, and that's exactly what they did. So now, it's console kids on lead for this Fire Giant dance. They're going to start this one up already, but I don't know whether or not Ravens really want to try and give this one up. They look a bit reluctant so far.
Yeah, but unfortunately, this is enhanced Fire Giant. Waves are pushed out evenly. You don't want to give it up. And Lone Wolf shows he definitely doesn't want to. Unfortunately, he dies to Anthony, and now Tony's on the backline using World Serpent to keep them off as best he can. Dude, trying to get a steal, but great zoning. Unfortunately, because there's a little lag on the damage, Anthony falls to the enhanced Fire Giant. Tony does clean up dude after getting it. This still sets up console kids. It's a 4v3 now with Hailstorm respawning. They can still get this Phoenix. They just need to play smart. Let your tanks in. And honestly, I would like to see Tanner just full in on most likely Cypher. Just keep him
Well,
away
they're
from
gonna
your
have
team.
to. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel comes out just to try and buy some time around the back. Pele's here, looking at these damage dealers. There's the Volcanic Lightning again, but good Pete and Aegis. BA is able to buy enough distance for them, and Pele has to back this one out. Left side Phoenix, or right side Phoenix has fallen, and look at this now. Nice look here from Console Kids. Just back it out, say, right, let's just go for these Phoenixes like we wanted to do. All they need is to buy time and space for this Sylvanas, sorry, this Kernanos. Don't know where Sylvanas came from, but all they needed was that little bit of time with that EFG, and they're able to pick up a second Phoenix with relative ease.
Much better decision making coming out of Console Kids on these pushes. This time they get 2 Phoenixes instead of just 1. They stay grouped together, and they place. Now, see, this is the thing. They make these decisions when they don't have their full team, and then they made the other ones with the full team. So hopefully, moving forward, they will take the opportunity and go, we recognize that if we do this with 4, how much better could it have been it with 5 if we did it this way?
Indeed. Well, with that everlasting flame of the enhanced fire giant around, they are going to try and push out here. Oddly enough, though, we are going to see Raven try and attempt a defense here, but Zephyr is low already, but is leading everyone on a merry goose chase. Blink forward, and the Sentinel of Zeus is all that's needed to find it. Pyroclast on the back, just to put in a little bit of damage, but it's too little too late. That's a second pick. Now Wild Hunt comes out to disperse everyone further away. The Taiko drums taunting back in members. Hailstorm has to disengage, but it doesn't look like Hoa is going to be able to do the exact same thing. Trying to get back. Will use that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel to push everyone else away, but it's a sacrificial play as he still gets jumped in on. In fact, actually, Arthur's here as well, trying to do what they can as a defense, but he's getting blown up as well. Console Kids are just going to be able to walk in and end here. 3 members still dead. Hailstorm forced back. Titan getting sieged now. Console Kids are going to be able to pick this one up, and that's going to take us to a game 3 between Console Kids and Raven.
Better game coming out of Console Kids in game 2. There was a moment of concern after a couple of pushes going terribly wrong for them, but they cleaned it back up, got their heads on straight, and this time made the right decisions and ended very cleanly. Unfortunately for Ravens, it didn't go so well. Tanner on this Nike did way too much work.
Way too much work. 17, 3, and 13. We never got a chance to really slow it down and look at how well they've done, but it's just so the game was explosive coming out from how Console Kids played. They started going in, then Ravens took it back, then Console Kids get a fantastic steal on Fire Giant, and from there, they kind of run through the wall of everything that Ravens try to do. Sure, it's not the cleanest of games, but they were able to create so much momentum, they couldn't be stopped here, it felt like.
Oh, it just, every time a fight seemed to be going wrong, all of a sudden Tanner's getting a double or triple kill. Just like Zephyr would on their defenses, but unfortunately Tanner's kills were a little bit better and just pushed his team that much further ahead. It's really... Also Kids had gods they didn't want. Ravens getting... If I'm Ravens, I do not want to see that Nike.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to develop. We've got Game 3 coming up shortly, but before that, let's go back over to the desk to break down some more of the second game here.
Thank you so much, Blur and Vengeance. Fantastic job on the cast. And boy, was that a roller coaster of a game. 35 minutes, a good amount longer than the first game. And I could not agree more on the cast. 17 kills coming out of the Nike. I mean, that is just not something he's going to be able to get to reprise in game 3.
I mean, he played it almost perfectly. He was doing exactly what he needed to do throughout the entirety of the game. Early game, he was making early rotations to duo and mid, making sure that even if one of his teammates died out, he was at least getting a 1-for-1 trade, if not more. As the team fight started getting like bigger and bigger and with more and more members joining in, he was dissecting the team fight perfectly, making sure that both of the Izanami and the Discordia were focusing on him, while his carries were focusing on the dive of Pele and Arthur. And because of that, in those late game team fights, he was able to cleanly dissect it. But I don't think we should forget about the hero play that Anthony made with the Raijin.
That was amazing. I mean, at 17 minutes, Ravens had a 5,000 gold lead. They look to be in control. They go for another 18-minute Fire Giant, just like they did the last game. And Anthony comes in, and because Ravens aren't on the same page, he steals the Fire Giant, helps out in 4 kills, and clears every tier 2 tower and the Gold Fury, and that's a 9,000 gold swing in the span of 90 seconds. I mean, it was just incredible.
I mean, Console Kids early game didn't look great, but as soon as they got that Fire Gen, as soon as they got that lead, they were able to step on the gas pedal insanely well, and I'm really impressed with that capability. I think that the best way to continue their success here is to make sure that they don't have to be in the position where they have to steal these objectives. Not only did we see a steal from the Raijin, but we also saw the steal from the Odin onto the Oni Fury. That opened up the doors for a next FG, which allowed them to siege that right Phoenix once again. And speaking of that right Phoenix siege, I think we have to, although Tanner was popping off that game, so was Zypher. He was playing to his namesake and playing like a king. He was shutting down a lot of these defenses. And that game, which should have gone on to like 27 minutes, went on to 35, I think solely because of him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He still was able to reprise his role, had 13 kills just like he did the last game, just a few more deaths. But I think in part, Zypher played great, not taking anything away from him, but I'm really looking for Console Kids to sort of maybe clean it up a little bit. It seemed like they weren't necessarily always on the same page. I know Vengeance touched on that right lane Phoenix Siege where Yorm wasn't in the team fight when he should have been, and that didn't go super well. There were a couple opportunities that they had to maybe even close out the game earlier, and they overcommitted a little bit too hard and handed the Ravens an opportunity to get back into it. Luckily for the Console Kids, they were able to close it out off of a nice team fight in the enemy left side jungle. But if they're gonna take this game 3, I'm really looking for them to come out and make a statement. Actually take this early game as opposed to getting back in it in the middle of the game by a pure chance play. Once again, we aren't gonna go to a break. We are gonna jump into game 3 picks and bans here in just a second. The Raijin is win both games, clearly, right?
Yep.
The Raijin is going to be a value pick on either side. I mean, do you expect it to be let through at all? I think it's going to be banned by whoever's second pick. Looks like we're still in the same spot. Console Kids on the left, Raven on the right. So I expect Raven to ban it. Oh, excuse me. Looks like we are going to have Raven on the left, Console Kids on the right. That's my mistake. So I think Console Kids are going to ban it because they cannot give it back to Zypher.
No, sir. And look at that, the Nike ban as well. We're starting to see these set bans come in instead of these meta bans. We're looking specifically to target out certain characters and certain players that were doing really well instead of the meta as a whole. And I really like these bans as a whole because what Console Kids have banned out is pure early aggression. What they've lacked really is this early game. And by banning 3 early game gods out, what they allow themselves to do is kind of get to that mid to late game where they seem to have a superior team fight.
They do still have some early game picks up on the board for Raven. He can reprise that Discordia, which he does end up doing. And we have to remember they had the Pele last game too, and so they might pick that again. They're going to give him his Izanami back. I mean, it still feels like a lot of what Raven played well last game, right? In general, it took them 35 minutes. They had an okay defense, and they're giving Raven back their comp so far. Pele, Izanami, Discordia, Jing Chen all remain unbanned. Right, but Console Kids has had arguably their 2 most effective gods taken away in the Raijin and the Nike.
I would agree to that to an extent, but at the same time, there's not enough mid lane bans that you can do. I mean, I feel like Zypher is just comfortable on any mid laner you give him. He's just gonna pick the Discordia and just really CC you out. I really love the approach that Console Kids have gone here with the Odin and the Yorm. The Yorm struggled a bit in the early game getting solo, but after he got his footing, he was ahead of the Arthur. And like I said, playing through Tony was a really, really strong way to do it. Bringing back the Cernanos, I also like a lot because it was able to pressure out the Izanami. And a Shivalanki with a little bit less clear should be even better.
Yeah, Kern did have an okay time in that lane. Fared much better than the Hu Yi of game 1. We're going to have a new matchup. He's not going to pick the Izanami despite it being open, going in another direction. And we are going to get the Athena back from game 1, which I was a big fan of how those taunts influenced the game from I am Hoa in game 1. So I'm excited to see him reprise that. Console Kids are going to ban out the Susano. We haven't seen that since game 1. We're still looking to target ban that as we see Afro come out from Raven. What are you looking off to finish this draft on console kids? You know, we've gotten to the point where they have the same draft as last time, but the Nike and the Raijin aren't available. How do they finish this off?
All right, so I think here would actually be not this pick, but like final pick. If they do go for a more leap-centric draft on the side of the Ravens, I would love to see an Awilish, because Awilish, not only does she provide an insane amount of early game, she also has that gravity search, which works really well with Odin Cage, because they're kind of in a catch-22 situation, right? Either they sit in Odin Cage and just kind of take a massive amount of damage from Kukulkan and Cernanos, or they end up leaping and then they just get pulled right back into Odin Cage by the Awilish. So I would really love to see an Awilish last pick here, because it just allows them to control the flow of the map really well.
That's a fantastic point, as we do see Kukulkan getting picked up by the console kids here, which I got to admit I'm a little bit worried about, right? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of putting Mr. Anthony on an unmillable mage. We saw how much he struggled in game 1, and you know, even on a mage with a jump and one of the more powerful mages in the game, he had 14 deaths in game number 2. He had 8 kills, you know, he put out the damage, but he's a very aggressive player, and on an immobile mage like this, I think Raven are going to be looking to punish him even harder.
I would have to agree with you there. I mean, compared to the Raw, Cuckoo does have a bit more tools for self-peel. He does have his slipstream to go get up to 70% movement speed and a slow immunity. The lack of CC immunity does worry me, because, as you stated, the Athena kind of just dash taunted onto the immobile mage, press 2, and either he had beads and lived, or he didn't have beads and died. It's really going to be relic usage combined with, I think, ultimate usage from Anthony that determines whether or not this Cuckoo pick is successful.
Could not agree more. I am looking for him not to pick up the teleport this game, if I'm being completely honest.
Yes,
and we do see a Mercury come out from Raven, which might be a benefit towards the Kukulkan, because Mercury not really known as one of the early game picks, going in a little bit of a different direction than the Pele of last game, kind of, you know, hitting the opposite end of the spectrum. He still has great gank opportunities, you know, hit that down the lane ult, you know, he can definitely, you know, have some pressure in the early game, but you know, it's not the same as the Pele. And then we see a Guan Yu over from the console kids, which is going to be another warrior in the jungle, but one we haven't seen in a while.
I love this pick from console kids, and I'm really excited to see how they use it. Guan Yu is super good at pressing W on a carry, and Shibalanke, Darkest of Nights, isn't going to save you from a Guan Yu horse. His dash, although has CC immunity, isn't that long. Same with Discordia. Her dash isn't that long. Yeah, it gives you iframes, but really, I think I really love this draft from console kids, because they were doing so well with the triple frontline, and running a triple frontline back, but with a little bit of a twist, is going to be super exciting.
I am looking forward to it too. Guan Yu coming out in a meta that we have not seen him basically at all, but he had really good success with the Nike, and so I'm looking for him to reprise that on the Guan Yu. One last time, going into game 3, whoever wins here is going to take the set, take home their first points of the AG Smite League. Who are you giving it to?
Oh, it's tough. I think, despite the praises I gave to console kids, I think that Raven has this just because of the Athena dash taunt into Zephyr's just any ability.
All right, I have to agree with you there. Raven's been looking strong. We are going to hop to a quick break before hopping into game 3, and the deciding match will be right back.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to this. A best of one between Raven and Console Kids. Both teams looking to take home 2 points. They will get away with 1. But who's coming out on top is what we're going to have to find here in the deciding match. Supersonic Blur joined for the final time this evening by the old TIH Vengeance. And hopefully they won't come at me with a vengeance over the last game.
Did you just not with that one? That wasn't even clever. You were just
hey, I got waffles. I got waffles. That was their protest.
You weren't even trying to be clever.
You don't have to with puns. That's the thing. I'm talking about being clever. Both of these teams have been able to try and switch some of the things up, but they've kept what made them win going. Raven gone back to the Athena, whereas Console Kids still running this triple front line.
And honestly, this Guan Yu on Tanner, as Des pointed out before, is a great W key god. The way he played Nike, I expect, especially when he hits level 5, to kind of just start trying to run things across the entire map.
Look at this, though, already. Trash just stood in front of Ligma and said, yeah, nah, I'm an Odin. I'm going to stun you. You're going to take a lot of damage. But now level 2's rolled around. Trash has to back it up and be a little bit more careful. And throw out the Gungirs might unsuccessfully and back things up just as far as they can. Really weird. He has a ward option, so didn't have as much sustain available to them.
No, I think the difference this time is that this isn't a Xingtian you're going up, where he's a little aggressive and you can try and out-aggress him. This is an Athena with a taunt. If you want to be aggressive with Odin, she can just taunt you away from it.
Oh, that was a lot of damage put through straight on a Tanner. Really good work from Ligma to just keep pelting these bowlers out there. Now, though, Trash. Oh, hello. It's a reverse of the first game we saw. Solo lane kill, but this time it's the World Serpent who comes up victorious. The early bird will not get that one, as it were. So that's already a good look for Console Kids.
Anthony going this tier 2 Book of Thought, start trying to rush it. Little considering he's solo on mana, I think he might be using too much of his other abilities to clear wave and not just using his Whirlwind, which when you're trying to rush Book, it's kind of all you can do. Just throw your Whirlwind down. Do not use other abilities unless you absolutely have to. And Hailstorm is really getting close with that challenge that Oracle's.
I mean, you know, it's PvE for now, and it's kind of the struggles of the Mercury is this early game, so he has just got to try and farm up what he can. Hopefully that is the plan for Raven, and if this game can go late, which they showed they could play to a 35-plus minute game, that should be more than enough time to get Hailstorm into where they want to see. My question is, though, is how is he going to try and help this early game? Sure, Mercury just wants to farm, but he's got to try and help somewhere early, or Guan Yu's going to run him over.
Honestly, with this blink, I want to see Hailstorm just blink dash at Anthony on cooldown as much as he can, especially with Anthony's bees being down right now.
Time.
Zephyr has done a great job of out-damaging him. That I wholeheartedly believe if Hailstorm just sets up Zephyr, he will delete Anthony.
Indeed. Kind of ironic that we're going to see Zephyr going against the god with Zephyr, but hey, it is what it is, as the kids would say. Blue buff invade going away. Lone Wolf, really an unfortunate look. They don't have that Glad Shield yet, and they really needed that sustain, and well, they don't even have the option of a Totem of Coup, because Tony's grabbed that one. Now, though, gonna see another look back here. Guan Yu comes over. Trash was baiting as long as they could, pushing a tower line, and Raven now gonna get punished for it. Autos are going down, and it's getting lower. Dashboard from Cutternos, he needs one more basic. He can't quite find it. Will be able to secure that one. Now he's gonna try and get back as far as they could, but Ligma will secure that. In fact, actually, they're gonna get a double kill because Tanner sucks. All right, they don't suck. They dash back in to try and help.
Very unfortunate misplay out of Console Kids here. Tanner just continued aggressing onto dude, and unfortunately the big issue there was that Stav wasn't able to keep up, and Beads and Serpent of the Spirit of the Nine Winds forced out, and this is one of the worst parts about playing Kukulkan.
Very low. That was what the ultimate was for. It wasn't to help in mid. That was to try and buy themselves enough time to get away from Trash. They're going to get picked off, though, and there's that Gungir's might. Never misses its mark. A good shot there. That'll pick up another kill, keeping Console Kids in the lead.
And just over aggressiveness coming out of dude here. He got the 2 kills and just kept going. No wards on the high end, so I don't know. Maybe he was trying to steal a camp, but really, there's a certain point you've got to just back up.
Agreed. You've got to find that balance between being over aggressive and using the lead that you have. Talking on builds though, I just want to take a quick point. We've seen this all 3 times. We've never got the opportunity to say it. I say Hoa has always opted to pick up these Gauntlet of Thieves before Boots. What is your take on that?
I think Ho is doing this so that even if he's falling behind, he will have Thebes stacked at a reasonable time. Because if he goes Thebes after Boots and his team's falling behind and he's falling behind badly himself, Thebes becomes useless because you will not stack in time and you will spend so much time without those protections that you're always behind even worse.
It was a good taunt, but unfortunately their Hailstorm was around the other side of that rock there, so couldn't quite follow up the damage. Don't know if it would have been enough to kill, but definitely would have been a TKO. Now though, Trash is going to be able to stick around. To side again, it's still Ligma dude who's pushing up, but doesn't have the ward coverage to really back it up. We'll get potential invade, but he has to know members would be around for the red buff, and he's just going to get run down here. There's the cavalry charge to follow him through. Won't even get the invade off, and that should be a dead Jabberwocky. But his team's on the back and trying to be able to make you rest best of it. Blink from Mercury, now looking for the Guan Yu, but it's still a 3v2. Athena taunt back in just to try and disengage, and they'll lick their wounds on that one.
Off the top, and Anthony's awful looking to rotate in. Doesn't have the ultimate, so not much he can do here. Uses his Zephyr, doesn't connect. And really, dude should have learned from the first time. Not to go up there without warding. His vision shards down. He doesn't have anything to place up there. So he gets freely rotated on as he crossed over a ward that Sav placed. And at this point, he's got to think, okay, I'm not invading anymore unless we have vision covered on their side of the map from mid.
Agreed. Especially as well, they had to have known that at least Trash was going to be around that area of the red buff. If they're going to be around there, then Tanasucks is also going to be around there because that's jungle farm, and junglers will make sure that they're there for their jungle farm. If not, then you'll never hear the end of it if you do it without them there. Trust me, it's not fun, but you had to have known at least one person was going to show up. If one person shows up, you have to think that more will do so. As we see a nice invade here for Console Kids. Again, just trying to keep on the pressure. In fact, they've actually been able to use this time and get a tier 1 tower in mid sneakily.
And you know, that's a difference between the past 2 games is that it's Ravens tier 1 mid falling first instead of Console Kids. In the past, Console Kids were always losing the towers first. Ravens this time, they're finding themselves down, and they're down 2k gold almost because of it.
Indeed, Young Sav getting pushed back onto tower, but he's played this pretty well. Mid lane, though, dash taunt from Athena forces the beads on Kukulkan, and that is a win. I'll take a little bit of poke, but it is not a kill going the way of Console Kids, so they've got themselves some pressure in mid. Back after losing that tier 1 tower. Now, though, again, Ligma trying to take a 1v1 here. They'll be able to juke out the ultimate, and Darkest for Nice with the additional range. Won't be enough. They got baited on the wall with Bloodlust again. They're going to find more picks. Good Sonic Boom keeps the Kukulkan out of the way, but he eats a tail of the 9 wins, and now he's being run down.
That was a beautiful counter ult coming out of Anthony to make sure that Hailstorm had to decide what if he was getting the kill or running away, and Hoa doing what he can to save Hailstorm from being chased down too much more. Sacrifices his life for it. Dude.
That's the gold. It's got to be, right?
I get your Jabberwocky, but that is the third time you've died up there without any vision from the other side of the map. And now, Console Kids are punishing even further by taking this Gold Fury for free. This is...
Is this the same team? I swear, I can't even do like the whole, these teams swap, because Ligma's playing like Anthony was playing. Anthony's playing like a completely different person. Young Sav has played fantastically, holding back on going in for these 1v1s and has just sat back and let Ligma get baited in by this. We've seen Tony get two invades off and a solo kill on this Jormungandr. This is a complete 180 from these teams, and The results are astounding. Finding themselves up 3k this early. How have they done this?
They're just taking advantage of bad positioning and lack of vision. Let's just look at the wards on the map. You have one aggressive ward on the side of Raven that is on the right side of mid. Whereas console kids have a ward near the enemy red buff that just despawned. They had a ward near their purple. And they also have a ward sitting near their blue buff.
Oh,
So, I mean, this is just a complete difference.
Ligma caught in a slightly awkward situation. He's on a ward. He will have to back it up. Very late Odin ult, but should be able to stop any aggression for the buff. And it will be invaded away. He's going to try and hold for as long as he can, but look at where the rest of console kids are. They're looking at a red buff invade potentially now.
I like this positioning. They're dancing around, going aggressively, showing what they can.
Oh, they don't want the buff.
Says, I'm using the ult. I want you, Hailstorm. You're on Mercury. In comes the ultimate out of Anthony, though.
That was huge amounts of damage. Tanasucks comes back in just in time to buy enough time. Anthony trying to wiggle away as best they can. Blink comes back in. Might have body blocked in there, but he was still dead anyway. Hailstorm gets their path cut off by a Wild Hunt. Polymorph now on the Jibbalonquay. He's left alone 1v3. Aegis will buy a little bit of time, but not enough. And Hailstorm is still level 9, 2 levels down to Tanner. And now they're just pulling this lead further and further away. 4k up with a man advantage or current situation advantage. They can look for a Pyromancer here and potentially a tier 1 tower on the right.
Seeing this early game out of console kids, it just
So
leaves me with the question, what was going on during game 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Like, this is completely different. I couldn't, if I saw this separate from the other two, I would, without the names, I would not think it's the same set.
Yeah, I would have said that this was next week. They lost 2-0. They come back in. They're like, right, let's tighten the screws on this because they have done so well coming back in, tightening everything down. Every problem that we've spoken about so far has pretty much been fixed. Second game, they find triple warrior or triple frontline works for them. They run it back again. Haven't quite seen the defense side of the Guan Yu, but already just being able to run at anyone has been a fantastic look for them. Anthony's awful, hasn't seen Athena taunt once as it currently stands. It's Jormungandr who's taking a little bit of a beating currently, but it's a fantastic look. My question now is, how do console kids keep this one going? They've got a lead, how do they use it?
They just keep the aggression up, keep doing what you've been doing. Take every pick as soon as someone's out of position. That fight around the red buff, that when they invade, they split Raven up. And dude tried to come in on the back end, but he was separated so badly from his team, he had to go straight to mid. But because of the ultimates, it didn't matter.
Well, now Anthony's awful. I say, Hoa, I say goodbye to you. So, madam, that was a beautiful shot. And this is kind of what Anthony's been doing. He's just been using this ult. I'm getting dumpstered or jumped at here. I'm going to throw my ult. It'll do 500-600 damage. You saw it again on the red buff. It's just only Athena ult damage because it means I hit both Zephyr and Athena for 500 damage. And that helps us end out the fight. There's no way they can come back in. Anthony's been playing like Captain Twig and actually being Captain Twig. He'll 1v1 anyone at this point. Doesn't have a dash to jump in on, but it doesn't matter. They're putting out the damage, which is enabling the team to secure the kills. And look at that. Just, I dropped Whirlwind. Got a kill. I'll back it up now.
Yep, and that is the effect when you change a dot damage ability to be instantly placed. And now, Ligma's
that was a good idea
for that one. Now, this is just console kids are slowly starting to run away with it. Ho is going to try and trade out this mid tower for the tier 1 on left.
I like it. I like it.
Good idea. It's a good trade. But now, Hailstorm's caught in a bad spot. If all of console kids spot him out and just rotate, he's gonna have to use his ult to get out instead of in.
No. Doesn't look like they quite have the conviction to keep on for that one. Instead, they're going to just back it up. Face a little bit of strife on the way out. Big ult comes through and a 2-man taunt, but it's not good enough. Now dashing in is the Kernanos leading the charge here. Wild Hunt comes through, and that's the Mercury ult, I believe, that was used. Caught off perfectly there. Lone Wolf ends up getting taken down in a solo kill. The rest of Ravens starting to call this one back. They will end up trading out 2 for 1, though. The left-hand side fight wasn't quite as clean as I think console kids wanted. Now, they're getting chased back to their tier 1 tower. They might lose a second member here.
No, unfortunately, because Sav pushed forward with it left Anthony alone on the back end Zai, and this just gave Raven their little advantage. For sure, 2 people were traded out, but because console kids were so low when they were split, it hurts them in the long end run. Because sure, you took a Hailstorm and Lone Wolf, but you still have Zephyr, Hoa, and Dude alive. And they're putting out quite a bit of damage, even with the levels that they're behind.
Agreed. So right now it's good counter engage from the Ravens there, and like you mentioned, is gonna do them some good work. They will get that tier 1 tower over on the left hand side, so shrinking the gold lead just a little bit, and an Oni Fury certainly wouldn't do a bad thing to help that. Though there are wards around, so console kids know they're going to try and steal it away. Bird Bomb isn't good enough this time. Ravens secure it, but will they be allowed to escape? Well, there goes Trash Panda. They're already out of this instance. Now it's the Guan Yu 1v4, and there's no cavalry charge to save him this time. Raven fighting back, and console kids kind of losing their footing right now.
And this is the unfortunate side for console kids is, I know I said they need to keep up the aggression, but unfortunately, they're not staying grouped as well as they were before. Now they found themselves taking the disadvantage out of the split fight, getting punished for on the back end, getting Oni Fury taken away. But Tia wanted to try and steal it again. Jumped in a little too early, that's fine, but Tanner came in with the ultimate as well instead of letting Tia be the only one punished. So this is becoming worse for console. If they keep taking fights like this, letting themselves get split up, Ravens are going to completely turn this one around on them.
Agreed, and don't forget, we talked about earlier on, this Mercury just wants to farm and just become more useful in terms of a damage output. Tanner, they're there to do this early game, and late game they're there for sustain and a little bit more tankiness, which they haven't quite got themselves yet. So, transitioning on to the later stages of the game, it's a Jibalonque, it's a Mercury. I can't turn around and say that Raven are lacking for late game damage output.
No, and with this Mercury in the game, I hope console kids are paying attention to these builds because Ligma is going into crit. I want to see Spectral Armor.
I need to see Spectral Armor.
With 2 members from Raven going crit, if I don't see Spectral Armor, there's going to be a lot of deleting going on.
Raven end up stealing away Pyromancer then. Nice work out from King Arthur and Discordia. They may end up paying the price for it. That's a 1-person pick and an objective as well, so not the worst thing in the world. Console kids, though, kind of disperse after this. Don't really want to keep anything going. They could potentially try and set up a fight around fire.
No, fight around fire. Does not look like they're going to try and bait it, but it's a little disappointing that console kids let that get stolen in that fashion. Tony was doing a good job trying to zone out any damage members from Raven, but as soon as Lone Wolf went in, I would have rather seen them drop it and collapse on him. Kill him, pick up Pyro back again, make it more worth your time.
Indeed. Also, a little thing I have noticed, Devara's Gauntlet stats, I thought it was higher than it was. That's a 16 stacks on this Devara's Gauntlets right now. So, Young Sav, A, hasn't had the opportunity to really stack this, but B, it's kind of been more about this team fights early on, as we see the potential for another one. Little skirmish over these mid camps. Now, Young Sav needs to just find a little bit of time to get 1, 2, if they're lucky, 3 waves of minion farms somewhere, just to try and get some more effectiveness out of this item.
Honestly, it's very surprising that he's so far behind on his stacks. We're 18 minutes in the game. And with the lead that his team's had, there's no reason for him to not have this stacked already.
Oh no. That's his dashed already forced. Mercury around the backhand side will throw them back in. There comes out the golden apple. And that's all she wrote for that one. So I've picked off very quickly, very nicely. And he ain't going to get a chance to get any more of those stacks now.
Oh, now unfortunately, as we've hit this mid game, getting ready to transfer over to late game soon, Ravens have started doing what console kids were doing to them early, and console kids unfortunately are letting it happen. They're not paying as much attention. They've had some wards there, but even when it's there, it's not if they're not on the back end. You have your tier 1 down. If you push so far up, they can push from where your tier 1 is, and if you don't have vision, you're as good as dead.
Indeed, and that's why I asked you earlier on, when we saw this 4K lead, how do console kids transition this? Because it's kind of difficult to go for anything major this early on. Everyone feels a little bit hesitant. They don't feel like they've quite got the itemization. So I was hoping that we could see potentially Console Kids try and push down for some fights around the mid lane, trying to accrue a little bit more of a lead there and a little bit of map pressure. But instead, they've kind of been very hesitant, as now you see 4 members starting to make their way around this Fire Giant pit, but a good strife will keep them at bay and dissuade them further back. They'll swing around towards the right side lane. Console Kids, though, got to be careful. This is a 4v5, and those pings show Raven know about it. They have to be careful. Out comes the Odin Cage, and there's the World Serpent. It's a full disengage to try and deal with the backside. This Mercury is able to cause a bit of a ruckus.
Yeah, he's causing as much of a problem as he can, but dude's getting aggressive.
That's
getting
bad.
hit for very hard, but picks up a kill.
Oh my
Tailwind
goodness!
Picks up Tanner, and the Spirit of the Nine Winds comes through it, but unfortunately, they're going to make it out A-okay in the end with their 1 HP. Tony and Anthony both having to run away. And while this is happening, Young Sav is in the dual lane, farming up his gauntlet stacks. And Primal
He's just got to
Fury's
push. There's
up.
nothing else he can do. There's nothing else he really can do at this point. He needs to get those stacks online. Does have the penetration, so he could have gone for the Oni here. Wouldn't have been... Oh, sorry, the Primal here. Meanwhile, hello, I believe Mercury ult has been, or it wasn't even used there. It was nope, not even a blink, just straight up, constantly running down the Jormungandr. So Tony takes a spill there. That's a nice look for them. Now Kernanos in a 2v1. Now comes the Wild Hunt, but it's not good enough. Beats Aegis, won't save you from this 3v1. Now that Athena global rotation is starting to pay dividends, Ravens are starting to get their momentum back. They actually break even in this game now.
Oh, and this is the problem with not taking advantage of the early lead and making sure you have your stacks when you should, because now having to use this late game time to farm, you're hurting your team by not being at these team fights. And Cernos in the team fight at this point in the game is a big presence.
To be there.
And it honestly, if he combined his ult with the Cuckoo ult, you most likely wipe this team.
Well, that's a big amount of damage. Polynomicon evaporates the health bar, and the Spirit of the Nine Winds will be just enough as needed. And Athena gonna take a 1v1 trade that they don't quite want to, but King Arthur in the mid lane takes down the Serpent, not the World Serpent, but the little one in this instance. Tanner finally picks up 1 kill, and Mercurio is juked nicely. Members are just trying to get low, back to the health bars, and this surprises me. Tanner has some healing in the kit. We haven't really seen that be abused at all by the Console Kids in any of these engagements.
No, Tanner, as we just saw in that last one, has been trying to chase down these kills that are just, they're trying to barely get away. Unfortunately, though, because he's playing Guan Yu, as great it is to get those kills, sometimes it's more important to let them go, get back in the team fight, and try and get the other kills that could come stacked on top of each other. Even if the other person that got away comes back, if you've killed 2 other members, it doesn't matter.
Well, Console Kids secure this Pyromancer. Lone Wolf not able to do the same thing again. Blink from Tanner should be able to close the gap, and Tallow Assault secures the kill. Jormungandr now trying to take the fisticuffs from the Mercury as Athena does crash back in. Nice 2-man taunt. Isn't good enough to stop Tanner. Tanner goes around the backside, forces beads, and now they're all on diving here. Tanner secures a 2nd kill, an unofficial double kill. Console Kids have had enough. They're just running this one down.
No, the Console Kids are doing a beautiful job. After all the times that in the mid game that Raven was pushing at them, this time they take the lead, they take charge, they get the kills 1 by 1. And this time, it's Ligma in the dual lane, except he's looking to get this tier 2. Now, Console Kids look like they're going to try and get this as free as they can, but Young Seven in dangerous spot with Ziffer here.
Well, they do have the Serpent, the 9 Winds, which will secure it. Now they've got to be able to get out. That's what's important. Ligma up on this left-hand side. He's swinging for a Phoenix right now. All Raven have to do is stop members from, not stop members from Console Kids backing. He does enough time, and that's a Phoenix gone. This is a nice look now for Raven. Sure, they lose Fire Giant and Pyromancer, but they have a foothold. Left-hand side, if something goes a bit awry for Console Kids and they're not careful, their Titan will start taking a good chunk of damage, and Raven could just sweep the legs here.
Honestly, if I'm Ravens, I do not care that Fire Giant went to Console Kids because we got the Phoenix.
Yeah.
The main reason being, that's not enhanced Fire Giant. Sure, they have Fire Giant healing. They have Fire Giant bonus damage. You just got a Phoenix for free. This tells me that they could give their Mercury or G-Ball a lane to themselves, and if they sit in front of console kids, they may get another tower and Phoenix for free.
They could look to do so, but console kids want to abuse this pressure and be able to just push up this left-hand side. Discordia trapped in the cage, just burnt down. That's a 3-man taunt, though. Does a good bit of work. The Xbalanque doing what they can. Spirit of the Nine Winds gone through, but it's not good enough to find a home. Now it's just trying to get away after taking down this tier 2 tower. Tony is able to pick off Lone Wolf. 5 members still standing for console kids, and 2 down for Raven. They could look to try and push even further here, but they're going to play it safe. There's a mid tier 2 tower and a solo tier 2 tower. Grab those, play it safe, don't overextend, and don't just lose the game.
No, I like this call a lot better than going for Phoenix. You have Hailstorm
especially
there.
after last game.
Yeah, you still have Hailstorm and dude there. Tias is not as a point, even with Spectral Armor, that he can sit in front of those two and take that crit damage. Even if you're negating some, you're still in level 16 Odin.
Indeed, so they're going to back it up. Last tower should be able to fall, and it's going to put a good chunk of change in their back pockets now, sitting around nearly 5,000 gold up, and still got a little bit of pressure. If nothing else, pushing down this left-hand side slowed the Fire Giant pressure, but look what Ligma's doing. Ligma, again, just opting to try and take this PvE approach, get some pressure, and curb what console kids are going to be able to do. He's just roaming around the jungle, and console kids... they're a 5-man death ball right now. If Ligma's spotted, he's dead. Thankfully, though, he's just running around the map, and this is wasting console kids' Fire Giant time. They need to know where they want to be. Because right now, running around the jungle looking for a Xbalanque doesn't really feel like that's what you should be doing.
Not only did they run around the jungle, but Tony used teleport to get to that mirror tier 2 to guarantee that it could not be taken. Let's teleport down. It's upgraded to... it's not upgraded teleport, but it should be. So whenever that gets upgraded... he's not going to have that availability for the next couple minutes. This hurts console kids more than they realize.
Indeed, and Raven have this opportunity to just split out the map. They have 2 very strong hyper carry damages here. They will secure Primal Fury based mostly off this Mercury, who can slowly slip away. Console kids don't quite have the option or members around to really try and pressure out on a retreat. So instead, this Fire Giant, they've got the towers, but now they feel a little bit limp on what they want to do. They haven't even pushed up this left-hand side, so minions, they're sitting at their Phoenix line here.
Oh, and I was going to mention it, but Hailstorm already doing it. Smart decision to start going into Bloodforge here, as we just saw what Primal Fury alone did to him. If he gets this online, he'll be able to solo a lot of objectives by himself, outside of Enhanced Fire Giant, of course. But now...
he can't solo that. Not unless he wants to sit there forever and a day using Major Luck.
Or unless he was to use the wall abuse, which would be very unsportsmanlike. Yes. So I don't think he'd be able to do that as Mercury anyways. He's not a Jingwei. But now, showing you that he can just do this much damage to Pyromancer. Pyromancer already at half health while he's barely taking any damage. So, even though it's not full Blood Forge, it's tier 1. Still effective.
Yeah, but and this is still a good look for Raven. Sure, they haven't had like the Fire Giant, but they've lost... what did they lose with that Fire Giant? They lost 3 tier 2 towers. That was it. That's straight up all they lost. This gold lead, 3k, that's negligible getting onto the later stages of the game in terms of everything.
The thing about that gold lead is that it was heavily in favor of console kids before. This is how much it's come back into the favor of Ravens, because console kids, they were more than 3k ahead before, but that free Phoenix on top of a Fury, on top of Pyro. Sure, you got 3 tier 2s and Fire Giant, but now you're giving everything else up.
Yeah, they've got to look to try and do it again. Console kids are the ones who are going to start this up using the front line that they have. That's a big cage, and now the cavalry charge comes through. Look at that damage coming out onto the Mercury. Spirit of the Nine Winds is big. Hits 2 members instantly thanks to the stun. Trish takes down 1. Lone Wolf gone from this fight. Doesn't get a chance to do anything around the backside, though, is the Xbalanque. Red buff in tow. They could be cleaning up here if they get lucky. Sonic Boom repositions themselves out of the fight, but that's not good enough. Fisher gets taken down. That Whirlwind puts in huge amounts of damage. I say Horror is gone, and now the Xbalanque, who was potentially the saving grace for the team, never got around to be able to clean everything up. That's 3 picks gone immediately. Frontline, be damned. They ain't getting anywhere. Good stun into the whirlwind. That's the end for this guy. That's their darkest night. And this could very well be the end of the game here. 4 members gone. Right side Phoenix still being taken down. No Fire Giant. So they will have to do this the old-fashioned way with a good hammer and tongs. But look at this. 1 man stands. But I think they're going to have to back this up.
This is where I'm seeing flashbacks to game 1. Console kids have Tony over in the left lane. If instead of rotating over to the solo side Phoenix as it goes down, they gave up their opportunity yet again to end the game.
Still, they're in their fine spot. Pushing up this side of the map means that they are going to be able to get this right-hand side Phoenix. 2-man taunt is good, but no follow-up is available for the team. That's the second Phoenix down. Both the extremities now for Raven exposed. Mid-side Phoenix, only one available. Fire Giant. Console kids could very well look at it. This EFG on the table now. That's got to be a scary look for Raven.
By the way, the time it took after Phoenix and Solo fell to go rotate and take the dual lane side Phoenix was 30 seconds worth of respawn timers. They had multiple members of Raven 30 seconds plus. This is one of the things when it comes to these later stages of the game, especially when you're going up against a crit G-Ball and a crit Mercury, take the opportunity and when you have it, recognize that Jormungandr, even if he has to use World Serpent to get over there towards the Titan, you have that extra tank. You have all 5 members up. You have enough damage in CC to zone out a lone Mercury.
Currently off on their own, taking a little bit of poke damage here. Does get stunned out. Doesn't have beads available. Did have blink, so they're poked out. They're going to have to disengage. That's a really nice look, though, for the console kids. They've got 1 member gone, and that's one of the hyper carries who had the potential to steal. They're just going to try and all-in commit this. Kukulkan has the ultimate available. All they need is a little bit of time. Fire Giant sitting around 4,000 HP. It's getting low. It's getting lower. It's gone. Console kids are getting it. And Lone Wolf was clipped by that damage, so they're gone. But now pushed low. Apple of Discordia does do enough damage to grab them, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. But the EFG has gone down. Looking to try and find the Xbalanque off on their own is good. On the backside, though, Tanner again keeping out a good amount of the CC and peel. But the Xbalanque is not deterred. He's just swinging for the fences right now.
Tia coming through, using the ultimate to help out Tony get away. Tanner doing insane amount of damage with Sev onto Dude. Sev cleaning it up. And now
the Mantle of Discord. That's what saves the Mantle of Discord.
In trouble, but Hailstorm ults away from Tanner, doesn't find anything with it, and console kids are coming out with the advantage here.
They still got 5 minions pushing things down. They end up trading a 2-for-1 thanks to a ridiculously fantastic Mantle of Discord stun. Tanner puts himself right next to Ligma, stuns him out inside the cage, and that just spells his demise at that point. So, a fantastic look, but this is still a big dent for console kids. I don't quite feel confident enough yet to end. They've backed up, they've brought up, they're 7k in the lead now. They need to start looking at the end game here. If they want to take this Oni Fury, fine, it's Oni Fury. That's a lot of pressure from minion waves, I respect it. But other than that, you've got to find a focus and just go for it.
Honestly, they should be taking Oni Fury right now. It's a little weird to see that they're not.
Oh my goodness!
It's good that they caught these 2 out in time. Hailstorm falling to Tony here, and now console kids looking to W key this mid. Phoenix, they need to be careful though. Cypher is up with ultimate.
Mercury there. Couldn't quite find a 1v1, and the time it took for special delivery, he was completely taken down. Tanner opting for a 180 there, trying to see what he could grab. Looks like console kids want to grab this right side Phoenix. I don't like this. The option with Fire Minions are already there, but they want to take a fight by the looks of it. 2 members in the cage, and Anthony finds the Zephyr to put Ligma down. That's a huge whirlwind, and the Spirit of the Nine Wind comes through. Lone Wolf eats the brunt of it. Should be taken down here. Tanner sucks. We'll grab it. Fire Minions are pouring in here, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't think that Raven had the damage to be able to survive. Only Athena is left alive. 4 members now barreling into the Titan room. Ladies and gentlemen, console kids are going to come away here with a 2-1 over Raven.
Beautiful job by console kids to clean up the last 2 games after losing game 1 in a heavy fashion. That game ending there is all because console kids are able to find two members of Ravens out of position in mid lane, trying to push waves up, but not paying enough attention to where console kids are. If that doesn't happen, the better play for console kids is take Oni Fury, use that Oni wave with Fire Giant to push up. But in the end, due to little mistakes, console kids get the win.
Indeed, the last pick onto Hailstorm. He tried to go for the 1v1 with the Athena, or tried to go with the setup with Athena, but in the amount of time it took for him to use special delivery, Tanner just Talu assaulted him the entire time. Trash had set up his Skunge's might onto him, and he couldn't deal with it. That's the problem with Mercury. He needs to be able to constantly order you down, and he didn't get that free reign to do so. It was a good look from Ravens, though. They held on and they fought tooth and claw and nail every second of that game, but console kids able to come out with that win.
Yeah, beautiful job out of console kids. Overall, great set to watch. Hopefully, in the end of the day, everyone's learned something from it. Try and get better for the next time. Looking forward to seeing Raven and console kids. Even though they've had no points up until now, I'll be interested to see where they go playing up against the higher up teams in their divisions.
Indeed. I think the big thing for me between these two teams is focus. That's what I want to see these two teams improve on, is how you're taking these fights, when you're taking them, what you're looking to do. This last game was the best both of these two teams have played, and I'm really excited to see these guys move on forward with that. But that's going to do it here from us over on the casting side of things. So we're going to throw it over to round out the day with Frog and Day.
Thank you so much, Blur and Vengeance. Fantastic work on the cast. And I gotta say, after seeing Game 1, if I hadn't seen anything else, I mean, I would have been 98% sure after seeing a 22-minute Game 1 with a Raven victory that console kids were just done. I mean, that was a 2-0 in my head, and they came back and they won it. And it's just, I gotta give them the props. You know, they had a really great showing in this Game 3.
I have to agree with you. I think the biggest step up was from Anthony. Games 1 and 2, I felt a little underwhelmed by his performance, but Game 3, he really just, I guess something clicked with him. His positioning was insanely good that game. He was basically always just pressing 3 on the wave and then going to his tower. He didn't stay in lane, he didn't mess around at all. His positioning was spot on, and because of that, I feel as though Raven wasn't able to get into that hot start that they were able to get into in Games 1 and 2. Because in Games 1 and 2, more than anything, it was console kids overstepping and getting picked off by Athena CC, Jingchen CC. This game, Anthony didn't allow them to do that, and they were just locked down because of it.
I couldn't agree more. And it was just... It was a fantastic step up from him, but I really think more than just a single player step up from Anthony. I think console kids really found the meta that they like to step into. I mean, both games that they won, they ended up going the triple frontline, and we saw Tanner really do pretty well on both of these warrior jungles. 9 kills Game 2, 9 kills Game 3, 17 kills in Game 2 to keep him through that game. And there's some argument that can be made that, you know, Raven should have won the Game 2 if they don't steal that Fire Giant. So, you know, maybe it's pure luck that they're in this position now, but at the end of the day, it's them who have the victory and Raven has the defeat. Raven still does come out with a point as a result of this set, so they neither team is at 0. But that was a really, really fun match to watch, and I'm really looking forward, as the casters said, to see them in the future against some of the higher up teams. I think both of these teams have a lot of space to grow.
I think the biggest thing going into their next games is just figuring out what their team identity is. And as you touched on with console kids, I think their team identity is going to become kind of this triple frontline comp where you have frontliners trading in and out of the fight, making sure that there's 2 going in, 1 peeling for the backline. And it's going to be that, as well as just cleaning up these individual mistakes, these small mechanical errors, these small errors when it comes to shot calling, because it looked like both teams were hesitant from time to time. Just cleaning those up, and both of these teams have the potential to be some of the best in their region.
Indeed. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us out here on the stream. I hope you enjoyed watching this 3-game back and forth set. It was a lot of fun for us on the desk and for us in the cast to bring it to you guys. And I hope you guys are coming out. I believe our next game is on May 25th, this upcoming Monday. So make sure to come out and watch that set. Same start time, 7:30 EST. and I will see you guys there.